43 drivers and teams getting ready to go. 250 laps. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond. Green flag, 25 minutes from right now. The second half of the NASCAR Twin Bill today in Virginia's capital city. The opener of the doubleheader happened earlier this afternoon. 400 laps for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Of course, spots in the chase for the Sprint Cup on the line. David Reagan was on the bubble coming in. He was the 13th place guy, and it didn't work out that well for him.
Two of the Roush Fenway cars got tangled up in that one.
Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. That's too bad.
David was chasing Clint Boyer for a spot in the chase. Talk more about that in a second. This was for the race lead.
Oh, man, down deep in the corner. Might have been a little bit of payback. Maybe not. It kind of looked that way to me, though.
Robbins racing.
Dale Jr. Kyle Busch tangled late in the race here in May. Jr. and Kyle racing for the lead there. Now, here's Clint Boyer trying to come back and get back into a chase qualified spot. He's got to get around David Reagan. Well, he managed to.
Boy, Clint Boyer was just in a pile of traffic all day long. He hits the one car, knocks Reagan in a wall, gains a couple points off of that deal.
And while that was going on back in the pack, Jimmy Johnson's team got him off pit road ahead of Tony Stewart with 39 to go. And despite a desperate attempt by Stewart over the final 15 laps to get around, Johnson took the checkers.
Jimmy just kept him pinned down. Tony wore his tires out. Jimmy kept that car wound up, a lot of momentum. Another victory.
So Jimmy Johnson scores the win and gains a little bonus point ground on Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards heading into New Hampshire next week. Here are the way the drivers in the chase for the Sprint Cup will be seated going in. Remember, Carl lost 10 points after the tech inspection problem he had for his win at Vegas back in March.
Well, I tell you what, Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards, I wonder if they lay down and go to sleep at night. When they think about Jimmy Johnson, do they hear that music from Jaws?
So an emotional day for Clint Boyer and David Reagan, and they've got more racing to do, Jamie.
They sure do. I think this guy right here is one of the most relieved in the entire field today. What a day. So, Clint, how did you nourish yourself, get energy, and get refocused to come out here and do 250 more laps?
Oh, that was the easy part. If I wouldn't have made the chase and been going into this race, that would have been the one that would have been hard. But we're just floating on cloud nine right now. Looking forward to having a good race here. It's an important race for us. The BB&T Chevrolet is pretty good, and we're just going to have to feel it out. Obviously, the track's going to be changing as we go into the night, but got 400 laps of practice. Should be good.
Well, he's won here before. He knows how to find his way to victory lane. He rolls off second tonight. Mike?
And David Reagan, well, he just ran 400 laps and had a little bit of disappointment, found out that he's not in the chase. How do you put that out of your mind and focus on this race car?
Well, I mean, you have to face the consequences, and the bad news is the Cup race is over, and, we didn't get in. But the good news is we've got a nationwide race with our discount tire car coming up. I feel like we've got a good shot to win, and we've got 10 more races to go. I'd be a little disappointed if it was Homestead and I had to live the rest of the winter like this. But we're excited for the next 10 races. We didn't get in, but, overall it's been a good season for us. We still have some room for improvement, and that's what we're going to keep working hard on every week.
And Shannon, you got to love his attitude, and certainly this race could be therapeutic. Good to get back in the race car and get his mind off of that, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, 9 double-duty drivers in today's nationwide race, so they've already run 300 miles. And, for some, they might be worn out, but Carl Edwards, not a shot. You love this stuff, don't you? How much fun are you having right now?
It is a lot of fun. I'll be honest, I could take a nap right now. That'd be great, but sold wild bird food. Scott's Fusion is really pretty fast. It was great in practice. We practice in the daytime with not this much rubber, though, so nobody really knows what's going to happen tonight, but I feel real good about this race car.
Yeah, Drew told me, your crew chief told me, that you guys actually set it up to run during the day. Any concerns that this is going to be getting dark soon here?
Well, Drew hung out with Bob and the guys a little bit, tried to pick up some things from the Cup race. There is a concern. I mean, this track will change throughout the night. We did, like you said, we set it up for the daytime, but Drew's real smart. I mean, he gets paid to make those decisions, so I'll just let this one rest. Whatever, he wants to do, it can be on his shoulders, and I'm just going to have a good time tonight.
All right, and Carl Edwards pays to drive the car, so we'll let him get inside that and start this race.
Shannon, thanks. If you think about the emotions you go through behind the wheel of your passenger car in rush hour traffic or just when you're out on the highway, can you begin to imagine the emotions some of these drivers go through in a 400-lap race with a place in the chase on the line, and now they have to set that all aside and get back in rush hour traffic out here?
Well, I guarantee you one thing. As soon as they hit that switch and fire that motor up, what happened in the Cup race today go completely out of their mind. It'll be this race. That's what they're focusing on, and I know it.
They got to be worn out at times, because what we forget about is these guys are sitting in a race car. I mean, we're sitting here talking about and having all these analogies, but they're sitting in a race car where their adrenaline's pumping. They're up on the wheel. They're driving the heck out of that thing. And it's impossible for them to ever take a breath until now. But they're getting ready to go do it again.
Now, a lot of the Nationwide Series teams use Sprint Cup Series pit crews to do their over-the-wall work during race day. Any doubleheader concerns there?
No, I really don't think so, Alan. Like I said, these guys are running on adrenaline. They see them loosening up right there. They're fired up. This is just another race for them, but it's kind of a big race because this is Richmond and it's championship week, and they're fired up. I don't think you're going to see anybody having any problem. They will be tired tonight, though, when it's over.
I'll bet they will. Everybody will sleep well when it's over. Even the TV crew. You ever go to a baseball doubleheader and sit all the way through both games? I've been to a baseball doubleheader. I never made it all the way through the second game, but I'll tell you what, these fans are dedicated. They cleared the grandstands after the first race. A look at the turnstiles, they're coming back in. They're going to see this 250-lap nightcap tonight for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We are going racing in Richmond, and they're ready for us with the tailgate parties wrapping up.
Come on in, the water's fine.
Going to be a beautiful night here in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Commonwealth, as the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes 250 laps on the action track. 16.5 minutes until the green flag, 16.5 plus or minus. Don't hold me accountable for those few seconds error. Let's get on trackside and talk to some more of the drivers who could be potential winners today, David.
Yeah, that's at least 14 minutes that we can spend with Scott Wimmer then right now, right? Something like that. No, maybe not that long. Hey, you got a great starting position tonight. 6 more races including tonight with this team. Excited about maybe taking home the W?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pat's got some goals for us. The first was a pole and then 6 wins, but we didn't get a chance to qualify, so we kind of...
6 in a row, huh?
Yeah, 6 in a row, but I'm really excited about tonight. You know, a lot's going to change with the Cup race today, but got a real good car. It was good in practice Friday. We'll just ease into it and hopefully keep the car up front all night.
What can you anticipate? Because you guys, of course, had the green track on Friday morning, and then it kind of rubbered up as you were going along, but you haven't seen it since then. Now it has 300 miles of Cup cars on it. Do you anticipate the field to be about the same or very different?
Well, it's hard to say. You know, we look back through a lot of notes and really have never been in this situation before, so it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be the same for everybody, but I think the groove's going to move around. It looked like in a Cup race they really had a good high groove there, so I think you'll see a lot of guys using that. And pit strategy, it looked like that was real important, and I think that's the thing we're going to have to look at all night.
All right, Alan, you heard it. Nothing special from crew chief Pat Smith, just 6 wins in a row for Scott to end the season.
Yeah, that's okay. Good goal to have, I think. Very noble of them. Some news and notes where the Nationwide Series is concerned. The nationwide version of the Car of Tomorrow, or the new car, is going to be tested here on Monday and Tuesday, though NASCAR says the car won't be used in competition prior to 2010. The Joe Gibbs Racing Team appealed part of its penalties to its drivers from the Michigan chassis dyno incident. Nothing changed where the penalties to the crew chiefs and team are concerned, but Joey Logano and Tony Stewart no longer on probation since they didn't have anything to do with what happened. David Stremme mentioned earlier, he's going to drive Roger Penske's 12 Sprint Cup Series car next year. Dario Franchitti's back to IndyCar, so Brian Clausen could be the big beneficiary of that for the Ganassi team. He drives the 40 car today, starting 19th. They're coming back.
Hey, it's one of the most popular tracks in the country, Richmond, Virginia. I know why they're there now.
All right, little what to watch for where this 250-lapper is concerned. The one before the Sprint Cup race, Rusty made about 3 points. Every single one of them happened in about the first 150 laps of that race. So what are we looking for here?
The point I'm going to look for right now, Alan, you saw that Sprint Cup race with Jimmy Johnson running right against the wall. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen tonight. Some of these guys with not a lot of experience are going to try to run right against the wall, and a couple of them are probably going to miss. They're probably going to miss and hit that wall, so they got to be careful. The other thing, you got to keep up with these changing track conditions. Track's going to be a lot different. It's going to change as the night goes on.
I think one of the big things for me, just like the first race, but even more exacerbated here, is the inexperience getting on the pit road. You can get caught speeding onto this pit road so easily. The young guys really need to pay attention, get woed down, get in the pit box, and get out, make clean pit stops.
And somebody I think to keep an eye on is going to be the hometown hero. Denny Hamlin going to be coming from the back, well, the midway through the field. He starts 27th in the Joe Gibbs Racing 18 car. Denny, you know, he said before, winning here means more to him than winning any place else, including Daytona. He'll be coming to the front in a hurry.
Kevin Harvick, I still think he's going to be coming to the front, too. He said his car wasn't just quite right, but I really think he'll have it dead on when it's all over.
Harvick will be tough, but I tell you who's going to win this race.
Who?
David Stremme. He gets a big win tonight. You boys just sit back and watch.
You heard it from the man Who am I to argue with him?
That's right.
So getting ready for the nightcap of the NASCAR doubleheader. Why don't we go trackside for the opening ceremony?
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the United States Border Patrol Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Assistant Chief Michael Olson of the United States Border Patrol delivers the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, here's Reverend Joe Ellison of Essex Village Community Church with tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we thank you tonight for racing. We thank you for our NASCAR family. We thank you, Lord, for protecting us through the storm, all our fans and all their family members. We thank you for many men and women that are serving our country in this time of war. We ask you to protect them tonight. We thank you, Lord, that you protect the drivers tonight. In the name of the Father, and in the Son, and in the Holy Ghost, amen.
Race fans, please welcome April Lee as she sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That's been some 48 hours from when these drivers were supposed to buckle in for this race. To put a twist on the old saying, they're hoping to be better late than never. Because there's a trophy to be won at the end of 250 laps. The engines fire when we come back for some slammin' and bammin' racing at Richmond. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond is brought to you by Toyota. Moving forward. What used to be the Virginia State Fairgrounds, remodeled in 1988 into this beautiful three-quarter-mile track where the sun is shining. It's going to set shortly. A beautiful night for racing. Temperature's going to ease their way down into the mid-70s. A great night for these drivers to go at it for 250 laps. We will watch the progress of the race as it unfolds. Right now, though, let's go upstairs as we get ready to go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan. Just 8 races remaining in the NASCAR Nationwide Series chase for their championship. And there's the point standings. Clint Bowyer's largest lead of the year, 204 points over Keselowski. And Carl Edwards just another 18 points back in third. Those highlighted names are the drivers who are pulling double duty, a rare doubleheader for NASCAR here. 400 laps in the NASCAR Sprint Cup and now 250 laps in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Hello, everyone. Along with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us. In all total, there are 9 drivers who are pulling double duty that have just gotten out of the Sprint Cup car, guys. And quite simply, does that help them or does it hurt them?
Well, I think the guys that are going to get in these cars that just ran 400 laps, it's going to help them some to start with. They're going to know where to run on the racetrack, where the good grooves are, which we saw was way up high. These other guys watched it, but these guys kind of know it firsthand. But at the end of the race, that fatigue could come into play for some of the guys. Maybe not Carl Edwards, but some of the guys.
Yeah, you better be in pretty good shape. And I think all of the guys that we at least heard from said, they got a bite to eat and got some fluids in them. Shouldn't be any big deal. I think it will be more of an advantage that they saw what the racetrack did. But it'll be interesting to see if that same scenario plays out tonight as the track cools down.
We mentioned the fact that Alan mentioned that these guys had not been in the cars since early Friday morning. There's been over 48 hours since the cars or drivers have been on the racetrack. From a driver and crew chief standpoint, what tops your list of concerns?
Well, just that they practiced during the day. And even though it was in the morning when track conditions were cool, how much different is it going to be after we've had all of this rubber put down on the racetrack?
And from a crew chief standpoint, you just hope you've got enough adjustability in the car to be able to adjust for what you might encounter here, because this track is going to be a lot different. I mean, they just did not plan on racing in these kind of conditions. I think most of these guys planned on racing during the day because we saw the rain coming. But just hope you got enough adjustability.
NASCAR is allowing a competition yellow at lap 35, and I guess that's obviously a safety maneuver because the teams haven't been able to do much of these cars.
Yeah, they haven't been able to touch these race cars, so they're going to be able to make some adjustments at that time, something that they can do quickly without losing much track position.
I talked to some of the crew chiefs. They actually don't want to see that because they have to waste a set of tires at 35 laps. They'd rather wait a little bit longer, but NASCAR does that just so everybody can, be on equal ground and adjust their cars.
This is where so many of these drivers began their careers, on a short track under the lights of NASCAR. They couldn't wait to get here. It is one of the driver and fan favorites, Richmond International Raceway. Drivers are buckled up, and we are set to go trackside to get the command to fire them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Grand Marshal, the Director of Purchasing for Emerson Radio Corporation, Chuck Wilson, as he delivers those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Go ahead, Craig. All right, man. Fired up. All right, bud, fired up. That's 10-4, everybody. Just keep doing what we've been doing. Have a good time. All right, Cookie. Let's loosen up. Just another race.
Engines have fired at 43 of NASCAR's finest. Know what comes next. 250 laps here on a exciting short track in Richmond, Virginia. For the 5th time this year, qualifying was canceled by weather. They have lined them up by points. Joey Logano, the youngster, leading him down from the pole. Clint Boyer in second. And while you watch to see where your favorite driver is starting, let's visit with our in-race reporter, Mike Bliss, a driver of the Miccosukee Resorts Chevrolet, who starts back in 10th tonight.
Mike, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, I do, Dale.
Hey, Mike, it's been a couple of days since you were in the car, but if you can remember back to Friday, how was your piece?
Well, it was pretty loose in and loose on the throttle, but it turned very good. And that's one thing that I've screwed up here in the past, is trying to set it up during the day. And I think at night it'll be pretty good.
All right, Mike, our second question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Eric from Wexford, Pennsylvania would like to know, how much confidence do you have at this track?
He's adjusting the radio there. Mike's trying to get the radios adjusted. So we'll talk to his crew chief while Mike tries to get his radio back where it is operating. Let's visit with the guy who will be calling the shots for Mike tonight, Mark Reno.
How about it, Mark Reno? Andy Petrie up here. You got us?
Yeah, Andy, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. We saw the grooves on the racetrack in that cup race really move around. I mean, there was a lot of grooves. Up all the way against the wall is actually where the race was won. If you have to run up there tonight, what do you have to do to your car to make it good there?
Well, I think, Andy, we worked really hard on running right around the bottom. So usually if you run good down there, it's just a matter of moving up and getting a rhythm going. We'll probably try to run around the bottom. I think these cars are a little different than what we saw earlier, plus the nighttime is going to give it more grip. So we'll just see what happens.
Okay, so you're predicting the preferred groove will be on the bottom tonight?
Well, as many times as we've been here, you're going to find some guys go to the top, but I think we're going to try to stick around the bottom and see how things play out, because you can always move up.
Okay, Mark, appreciate it. You guys have good luck tonight.
Hey, Andy.
Cars starting to roll off of pit road, getting set for what should be a good one here. It always is under the lights at Richmond International Raceway. Well, to update some of the stories we'll be following tonight, let's head down to the pits first. Here's Mike Massaro.
Well, Doc, young Stephen Wallace has fond memories of Richmond. As a child, he remembers coming here, watching his dad, Rusty, dominate. Rusty Wallace had 6 victories here. Of course, the feelings for this racetrack changed completely when Stephen raced here for the first time. He struggled mightily and said afterwards he hated it. But something happened here this past spring. Something clicked for Stephen Wallace. He came home 5th, a career best finish, and suddenly it seems like he's warming up to this racetrack. It's the same car with the same exact setup he had in the spring, with higher expectations. Stephen thinks he can win today, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, because of Tropical Storm Hannah, 18-year-old Austin Dillon had to wait an extra 48 hours to make his nationwide debut here tonight. But you know, the extra time may actually benefit Dillon, and that's because during the Cup race, which ended about 2 hours ago, Dillon spent the majority of the race above the racetrack in one of the suites, watching the race, watching the lines on the track and how the drivers approach the corners. He's trying to get every advantage that he can. He'll certainly need it tonight, but because since qualifying was rained out, Austin Dillon is going to have to start in the back of the field all the way at 31st. Dave?
Well, when they started practice on Friday, Landon Castle's car was very, very fast. He set the 3rd fastest time on the 4th lap. But then Cam Strader, the crew chief, well, he stopped and he waited 20 minutes while the track rubbered up, as they say. Cars went around the track, putting rubber into that track, making it more race condition-like. They hope that pays off, especially after 300 miles of a Cup race on there today. They're hoping the notes that they gathered on Friday will actually be comparable to what they need in the race car tonight. Jamie?
Well, Dave, one of the standout performers from the earlier race, the Cup race, was David Rudiman. Coming into the race, he had only led 9 career laps. Today, he led 104. That was a race high during the race. He finished 9th. That ties his career best of last weekend when he finished 9th in Fontana. So tonight, needless to say, he has his Cup crew going over the wall with him once again. He has confidence and he has momentum on his side. Look for a good performance tonight from the 99 machine, who rolls off 6th. Doc?
Thanks, guys. We'll take you inside the battle throughout the night with 8 different high-definition onboard cameras throughout the field, watching the slamming and bamming and pushing and shoving that takes place here for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond under the lights. One car going to the rear is a 52 car. They had a driver change, by the way. Brad Teague in for Tony Raines, who did not qualify for the Cup show. He was going to run both. And what about some sleepers? We know who the favorites are. Andy, a sleeper that could sneak up on them tonight.
Well, I think it's Landon Castle. We just heard Dave talking about him. He was really fast in practice. I think before the night's over, this guy might even figure into for the win tonight.
Well, I'm going to go with the 66 of Stephen Wallace. He sounded very confident about his possibilities of getting up front. He ran well here, finished 5th, and I think that he has a good chance of being up there once again.
Stephen started 23rd back in May and got all the way to the front. In fact, if he hadn't had a little bumping incident with Kyle Busch, might have won this race, so he certainly would look forward to having a good run here tonight. The race analysis, 250 laps on a 3/4 mile D-shaped oval. Pit road speed 40 miles an hour. There's the pit window.
About 100 to 110 laps on fuel. Tires should be no problem.
Again, so many different grooves to pick from here. We just saw earlier in the day in the Cup race, some of the Cup guys running way up near the wall, other guys running down on the inside. Does experience play a role in where you can, what you can choose and where you can run at this racetrack, DJ?
Well, experience and your race car are going to be a determining factor of what you can do. And I think, just like we heard Mark Reno talking about, and we talked about a little bit earlier, I'm going to be interested to see if the racetrack cooling down is going to prevent that from happening. That is a longer way around the racetrack, and if there's not an advantage, if there's as much grip on the bottom, then that's the shorter way. So it'll be interesting to watch that as this race progresses.
I think that's a good question, though. That's been my theory, is that the reason that the Cup cars use more of the racetrack is from just a driver experience factor. And I think that's one reason you see these cars run the bottom more, because the drivers really don't have the experience and the confidence to go up there and run that close to the wall.
Drivers getting the signal 1 to go. A beautiful setting. You saw the sun going down here in the west. This is the 50th time the NASCAR Nationwide Series cars have run at Richmond International Raceway. They ran on the half-mile back when it was a fairgrounds oval. Then in 1988, they widened this track and modernized it to a 3/4 mile oval that has become one of the drivers and fan favorites over the years. The last time we saw Joey Logano on the pole, well, it was at Kentucky, and he actually earned the pole, and guess what he did that night?
Yeah, he won that race, and he's going to be one of the boys tonight, too. He's got a great race car and a great starting spot.
And beside him, Clint Bowyer can take a deep sigh of relief. He is in the chase for the Sprint Cup. He drove that car well all day. Now he can just focus and relax a little bit and think about what's going to happen and what he needs to do to win a championship in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Glad to have you with us. They are 2 by 2 out of turn 4 for the green flag.
Nice start there for Joey Logano. They were really getting the gas. See Clint Bowyer coming on that high side already. He knew that there was a good grip up there.
Yeah, you know these Cup guys are going to jump right up there to start with because they know how good it was in that Cup race.
So the first time Logano sees Richmond, his first competitive lap as far as in a race, he leads it, huh? See David Rudiman going by Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick on the high side there.
See David's trimmy. He was the pick for Brad Daugherty. David is yet to win a NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Announced this week he will become a full-time driver for Penske in the Cup Series next year. Strimmy, that's in him in the 64 car.
Scott Wimmer, Brad Keselowski there having a battle. David Rudiman looked like they're 3 wide there now.
Harvick looking inside. He's not going to do it here. You don't see these cars running up as high as the Cup cars were, at least early on.
That could possibly come as they get a few laps on the tires and things if they're really going to move up there. I think right now, as much grip as this racetrack has and the tires being fresh, the bottom should be the best way around, but that could change as we move on.
Yeah, the tire pressures are low. You see the sparks flying out from under some of these cars. David Rudiman's car, that 99 car, you see sparks flying when he gets into turn 1.
Battle for 7 spots. Strimmy on the outside of Carl Edwards. And there is the 33 of Harvick making a move underneath the 88. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, if you look on top of Kevin Harvick's pit box right there, someone very familiar, that's Todd Berrier, his Cup crew chief. I spoke with the team after the Cup race, and they actually did learn some stuff from the Cup race, specifically about air pressure. Todd Berrier and Jason Meeks, who was working on this car this weekend, they spoke. Todd suggested an air pressure to start this race, and that is how they started.
Yeah, I talked to Todd Berrier just a few minutes ago, and he said he thought Kevin's going to have a shot to win this thing.
Clint Bowyer looking to the outside, but Logano has the position, and that car is so strong. And now Bowyer will peel back to the inside.
That was a nice move.
That was a nice
Got a
move.
run off there. Dove down to the inside. Wasn't sure Joey Logano was going to know he was there. Now he's going to try that high side again.
It's like he might make this work.
Clint Bowyer. Remember, this is Joey Logano's first ever race at this racetrack. He wasn't eligible back in May as he had not turned 18 as of at that point in time. Jamie.
Well, you guys talking about Clint Bowyer, it's been an interesting balance for he and this team this weekend because Dan Deeringhoff, his crew chief, wanted to help him keep focus for his duties to get into the chase on the Cup side of things. On Friday during practice, he wanted a no-pressure environment. He just wanted to bring the car with the setup as close as possible, let Clint go to practice and not have to worry too much about it. He really wanted Clint to spend all of his time in the Cup garage, and that's exactly what they did. And it turned out to be pretty good. Clint said the car was good. Obviously, he just made the pass for the lead. Dave?
And Jamie, Joey Logano has just given up that first position, encouraged by his crew chief tonight, Greg Zipadelli, to run your own pace. If you need to let him go right now, do so. You need to get used to this track and run your pace. Zipadelli is calling the race shots tonight. Doug Hewitt ferried the car here and made sure that it's ready for the race. And of course, back home, Dave Rogers set the whole thing up. So lots of people helping Joey. Right now, they wanted to run his pace.
One of the drivers who's slipping back, who started third, is the 88 car of Brad Keselowski.
And he's going backwards in a hurry. He got a little bit sideways a while ago, but he's getting past inside and outside. And We saw that you can see right there the 18 car going in front of him.
They're passing inside and outside this lap. So he's lost a ton of spots.
Some handling problems that probably created that slip about 5 laps ago. See him get down in the corner really high right there, getting a little too high and a little too much speed.
Brad coming off his worst finish of the year at California, 33rd. 29 is Wimmer, trying to go around the 99 of Rudeman. That's for 3rd position. Up front, it's the points leader leading the race here at Richmond. Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, David Rudeman, Scott Wimmer, and Kevin Harvick are the top 5. Working lap 17 of the Emerson 250 here, Richmond International Raceway. Clint Boyer has now led the last 10 laps after Joey Logano led the first 7 of the event. David Rudeman holding 3rd. Stremme moving up to 5th. The car at 33 that was there a moment ago, Kevin Harvick, had a little rub against the concrete a moment ago. He's okay, still holding on to position, 8th position. There's Bliss and Landon Castle, the 19-year-old, back in 10th place.
One thing you couldn't see during the Cup race is those brakes glowing because it was a daytime race and the sun was bright, but you sure see it now with these cars.
There's a 33 car we talked about a moment ago, and there you can see the brakes are glowing. He got the car up near the concrete wall when we were away from commercial break. Had a little rub, and that cost him about 3 spots.
You can see him trying to work that high groove like he did in the Cup race earlier, and just didn't seem to be quite as much grip, or that car is not handling quite as good.
You don't see any of these cars running anywhere close to what the Cup cars were as far as up against the wall.
One car that is on the move, though, is no surprise at all. It is the 18 car of Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he's picked up about 13 spots in these first 20 laps. These next ones will be a little harder to come by.
Mike?
Well, guys, you know, I spoke with team vice president Steve D'Souza earlier this weekend, and he said, you know, before the spring, this track really haunted this team. They had struggled here. They were good, but they just weren't great. But that win, it changed everything. They feel like they're as good as anybody out there. I actually asked Steve to compare this car to the one they had a week ago. Remember that one in California that was just incredibly dominant with Kyle Busch? He says it's every bit as good, and we believe we are, again, the class of the field. It's going to be fun to watch that 18 car make his way from the back to the front.
Started back in 27th position, Mike, and now he's all the way up to 13th. Here are some of the biggest movers thus far. The 00 car, Josh Wise, we mentioned Hamlin, Mark Green. The 56 car also moving up there, Danny O'Quinn, the former Rookie of the Year, and Stephen Wallace moving up, already up 8 spots.
He's doing a nice job. He's got himself, looks like, in a good rhythm, and looks like his race car is doing exactly what he wants to. So things are kind of carrying over from back here in May.
Sometimes when you're leading the pack, you may think you're safe if you're the leader on a short track in NASCAR, but that is not necessarily the case. Watch Clint Boyer.
Well, he caught this car just a little quicker than he thought.
He didn't get much
right
room
up
there
against
either.
Justin Hobgood.
91 headed to the garage. Also in the garage is the 90 car of Johnny Chapman, and the 49 is headed to the garage area, Curtis Davis. So we have 2 cars out. Justin Hobgood is off for repairs. Brad Teague in the 52 car being shown a lap down. Now we have 36 cars on the lead lap with Clint Boyer the leader. Under caution at Richmond International Raceway for the first time tonight for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. There's the car of Danny Eflin, the 01, who brought out the caution flag with a spin just a moment ago.
Yeah, he was coming off turn 4 just before the start-finish line and got loose.
He was all the way off the corner, actually. He was on the straightaway.
Yeah, but Andy, you know you've raced here. You're always got wheeled in that thing all the way through this almost.
That's almost one of the toughest corners on the track, is the front straightaway.
The 81 car will be the recipient of the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. DJ Kiddington was the first driver a lap down, and now he gets back on the lead lap, and that will put now 35 cars on the lead lap, and a huge break, DJ, for another driver.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski might be considered a lucky dog right now, too, because he was just getting ready to get passed by our leader, Clint Boyer. So if he has any championship hopes, he couldn't let that happen. I was wondering if these guys would pit, but Keselowski stayed on the lead lap, and the leaders are coming on to pit road.
This is the competition yellow, by the way. They had planned one for lap 35. They will do it now on lap 30, and here they come at 40 miles an hour down pit road. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, Carl Edwards saying the car is loose. They're going to make some major changes. Wedge adjustment, track bar, 4 tires for Carl Edwards, and fuel. Mike.
Mike Bliss real happy with his race car. Told Mark Reno, don't touch a thing. 4 tires and fuel on this Mikasuki machine. As they complete their the right side work, now go to work on the left side, Jamie.
Well, this is going to be interesting for the 2. They're putting 3 scuffs on and a sticker tire on the right front because of the contact he had earlier. They also pulled that fender out. No changes in fuel. Dave?
Joey Logano with 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. They make a track bar adjustment as well. That car was loose. They'll go down on that track bar to try to tighten it up.
Race off of pit road. Carl Edwards up 4 spots. You see Boyer lost the lead. Logano back because of the 4-tire change. Kyle Busch slid all the way through his pit.
Yeah, he got 2 tires, but he still gained 6 spots, but he could have gained a lot more. He slid all the way through his pit. Had to back up.
We'll take our crew cam, Sean Pete there from Vancouver, British Columbia. He's the jack man for Kyle Busch. Now watch Kyle slip right by him.
That's not where we're supposed to be. Here we go. It was a good recovery, actually, by Kyle Busch and the team.
Yeah, he's practicing his parallel parking there. So. I don't know if they were planning on getting 2 tires or what their plan was. They really didn't have any up on the wall there, so it might have been planned that, but it really didn't help them as much as they were hoping.
And he gained 6 spots, even in spite of the fact that he went through his pit. So the 32 car comes back out in 8th position. Bernie Lamar being shown as the leader right now.
Next week, the chase for the Sprint Cup begins. Race number 1 is in New Hampshire. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. Next Sunday, 1 Eastern time on ABC. 12 drivers, 10 races, 1.
Woo! Man, I cannot wait. It's going to be an unreal race. There's no doubt about that, Brad.
Get the chowder and the lobsters ready, baby. Here we come.
So these crews have finished doing their job to get their guys back out on track. David Rudiman's bunch with a great stop. He is out in 3rd position for this restart. Let's go to work with the 99 team.
I got to get to the right side. Jack it. Pull the right rear. Hand it off. Drop it and go to the left. Jack it up. Send him on his way.
Attaboy,
dig, dig, dig.
And there he goes. His driver, Rudiman, just getting edged by Joey Logano there at that scoring stripe at the end of pit road, it would appear. Now, we talked about Kyle Busch having some troubles on his pit stop a minute ago. Let's listen in.
I don't know what you guys had for a board, but I never saw the board. Orange. Get some orange duct tape put on that board. Change the colors on it. Maybe it blended with something.
So Kyle Busch now is back in 5th spot for this restart. And Doc, they've mixed up the order a little bit up front.
Indeed they have. Carl Edwards being shown as leader. Boyer, who was leading, now being shown in 2nd spot. Rudiman, you saw the battle between Boyer and Rudiman off pit road. Logano and Kyle Busch with Harvick back in 6th spot. Getting set for the restart here. Caution number 1 coming out on lap 28, the spin of Danny Eflin. And the reigning champ for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Edwards, leads them down.
Now, Carl Edwards only got 2 tires there, so it'll be interesting to see how that works on these nationwide cars.
Yeah,
Jeff Gordon tried that in the Cup Series.
It didn't work very good in the Cup race. You know, they tried it a couple of times. You saw a couple guys try it. It didn't work very well, but it might be different tonight. It looks like the whole dynamic of the racetrack has changed now that it's gotten dark.
What about the 88 car? We saw them backsliding, and they were very fortunate not to go a lap down when the caution came out. What's the status, Jamie?
Yeah, Doc, he started 3rd and just slid back in a hurry. He was saying this car is horrible. Brad Keselowski saying it was chattering, and as he went on, he said he was chattering the left front. He said it was loose in, and all the way through it would chatter all the way through the exit. So, DJ, I wanted to ask you, what exactly can a team do for something like that?
Well, there are a number of things that they can do. You're going to have to free the car up. I think it's just chattering the front tires and till you get it to turn. So you can put rubbers, you can take wedge out, just probably changing the wedge around and possibly doing something with the track bar. they could possibly do something with air pressure, but that wouldn't take as much of it away as we see Joey Logano there trying to get by David Rudeman in the 99.
Yeah, Clint Boyer's already gone by Edwards to make the pass, and Logano using the hug in the bottom groove, trying to move up alongside David Rudeman, can't get it done.
Boy, David had such a good race in the Sprint Cup race.
And did a great job there. There's no doubt. It looked like for a while that he might be the car to beat, and they got shuffled around when some cars got 2 tires and things, but still ended up with a good day in the top 10.
Joey Logano's had a very steep learning curve here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and we asked him what it's like for him driving against some of the Cup guys.
I don't really, think about who I'm racing against. I mean, you're not thinking about, it's Casey Kanan, Kyle Busch, or Tony Stewart, Franny, all those guys. You don't really think about them, and they all put their pants on the same way you do, so it's not that big of a deal. There's still 43 cars out there like every other week.
Not that big of a deal, but next week he was scheduled to make his Cup debut here, by the way, because of Tropical Storm Hannah. He didn't get to qualify, so he'll have to put that off until New Hampshire next week. I think it'll be a pretty big deal up there with everybody, and it being the first race in the chase and him making his debut in the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure what he was saying there, he's not in awe of the situation, but there has to be times that he looks and sees as he races with these guys that there's something that maybe they do a little bit different, and he can pick up on that. And he's just a very talented race driver, and if you watch those guys, there's a reason that they're there, that they've been successful at that. So there are things that he can learn.
Yeah, he's a quick learner. He's paying attention to what these guys are doing. He's not scared of them by any means, and he doesn't care what their name is. It's just another car for him to pass. But he is a quick learner. He picks up a lot from these guys.
Trying to pass David Rudeman. And Joey Logano said after the first Cup practice, and you talked about him being a quick learner, he was like 5th quickest in the first practice and the 2nd quickest for a long time. He said to him the Cup car was much easier to drive. It fit his driving style better.
Well, you kind of hear a lot of these drivers say just how hard and different you have to drive these Nationwide cars because of the lack of horsepower, and the downforce is quite different. These cars have a lot more downforce, and some guys seem to take to that, that more power and less downforce better than others, and some people like this style, so it just maybe fits his style better.
Yeah, I don't know. His style seems to be pretty good, whatever he wants to get in. So, but he could be right. I mean, and that's going to be a great thing for Joe Gibbs Racing and that whole organization, if indeed he enjoys driving the Cup car even more.
He's enjoying it right now, running just door to door with David Rudeman. You heard, if you just joined our telecast, we mentioned at the top of the show that David Rudeman led the most laps in the NASCAR Sprint Cup race earlier today, led 104 laps and recorded a 9th place finish, equaling his career best there in Cup racing.
This is for a 3rd spot. Carl Edwards took those 2 tires, just holding up pretty good for him up ahead of these guys. Jamie?
I was talking to Jerry Baxter, you guys. In the last couple of weeks, they've had a pretty good run. They finished 8th, but Jerry Baxter said we are not happy with that. We feel like we've had a top 5 car every week, and we haven't shown it. But before those top 8 finishes, guys, 23rd was the average finish for the 5 races prior. So it's definitely been an up and down year. But David Rudeman, like I said, a lot of confidence, momentum right now, guys.
Rudeman gets passed for the position, but does have some momentum. And the guy that really has the momentum is Clint Boyer. He has led twice for 34 of the 49 laps. Welcome back to Richmond, where we are under caution for the 2nd time tonight. David Strimmy having some issues there, spinning his Chevrolet around on the front straightaway just past the start-finish line. Let's watch for the contact there, the 52 car. That is Brad Teague.
I'm not sure if David didn't just surprise Brad there by coming on the inside. Just didn't see him.
Our Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass goes to the 24 car. He will get back on the lead lap. Eric McClure. And the hefty Chevrolet, Eric now will give us 36 cars on the lead lap. There have been 4 lead changes among 4 different leaders. Thus far, Clint Boyer has been the top dog. He's led twice for 40 laps. Sun is set in Richmond with the NASCAR Nationwide Series race underway. The Emerson 250 here. 58 of 250 laps are in the books. Clint Boyer is our leader. Carl Edwards 2nd. Joey Logano, David Rudeman, and Kevin Harvick. That's the top 5. Kyle Busch up to 6. Wimmer, Hamlin, Reagan, and Bliss the top 10. Pace car going to lead him through turns 3 and 4. So why don't we listen into the spotters as we go full throttle.
You ready? Your call, buddy. Green, green, green. Flag, green, green. Clear all around, clear all around. Clear, clear. Still right at your quarter, you're clear left. Clear all around. Inside, inside. He's got the 21 double wide with him. With him, extra door. 2 inside there, 2 inside.
Great battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. David Reagan in the 6th, the Mike Bliss in the 1 car, and Stephen Wallace in the 66, all the way up from 20th starting spot. Here's Bliss. A moment ago, Stephen Wallace was diving beneath both these cars in turn 1 and just couldn't quite get it to stick.
Yeah, Stephen Wallace got a great restart right there and looked to the outside, and Bliss kind of shut the door on him, so he made it 3 wide going into 1 just for a moment.
Here's the 5 car, Landon Castle. We talked about how good he was in that practice 2 days ago.
Yeah, I've been watching Landon. He's running up on this high groove. He's one of the first guys I've seen running up there, but still hasn't really paid off for him yet.
See Mike Bliss, who's our in-race reporter, trying to go below David Reagan here. Like I said, he felt like they would have a good run here. This is a racetrack he really feels like that he has a good shot at. Ran really well here in May. We heard him say that he was running 3rd until the situation at the very end of the race where some teams decided to come get tires, and he fell back a little bit then as they opted not to.
Side by side for 9th position. Mike?
And Doc, you talk about Mike Bliss's confidence. I walked in just maybe about an hour before driver introductions into the lounge. He was just laying back. I mean, talk about a confident race car driver. He said, look, we've got a great race car. We got the same one we had here in the spring. Our biggest concern, though, is getting a lot of long runs. That's where we were really strong back in May. He said on short runs, though, we might be a little suspect, but if things do fall our way, we're going to be tough to beat.
What I can see right now is it's really hard. You can get up beside of someone. Really hard to make that pass, though. Both crews are working really well.
He's hanging tough down there, and if you just get another foot on David Reagan, he can get clear maybe and get going up a little further.
It has been 65 races since Mike Bliss has gone to victory lane. His last win coming at Charlotte, Lowe's Motor Speedway, back in October of 2004. How hungry would he be to get that car back and get a win here tonight?
I tell you, they've been a really solid performance by these guys since Mike Bliss moved over to this race team. He has a good veteran crew chief. They build good race cars, have good power, and he does a really, really good job. We see a battle right in front with Scott Wimmer and Kyle Busch here.
Denny Hamlin just cleared these 2 guys. Remember, Kyle Busch just took 2 tires under that last caution flag and around the pit stops.
It is Kyle Busch in the 32 car this week and not the 18. Hamlin's in the 18 in front of him. There's the look for Wimmer trying to make a move inside. Oh, almost tries to get inside and not lean on Kyle Busch.
Scott Wimmer needs to look to his inside because Mike Bliss is there right now.
That confidence Mike was talking about with Bliss is showing through now. Bliss is driving underneath these cars.
This car's really hooked up, and they've run a few laps. He said his car only got better as they ran on, so he might get a chance to see that here. He makes that pass. Now he's working on Kyle Busch. He doesn't care that he's the Cup points leader going into Loudon next week. He's worried about here at Richmond and the nationwide race tonight.
See those brake rotors really glowing on these cars, and I don't think that they're overheating. It's just that the nighttime really shows that. We didn't see it on the Cup cars because it was daytime, but nighttime it really shows it.
Denny Hamlin, who won this race in May, is on the move and now trying to move in on the 99 car.
We saw Denny Hamlin run the Cup race on the bottom for most of the day, and that's where he's been making the majority of his passes in this race too. He just really has a feel for what he needs out of his race car, and he makes it work at this racetrack. I don't know. Some racetracks you get that feel. He obviously does well at most tracks, but this is one that's really good for him, and he can really get his car dialed in.
Up front there, Kevin Harvick trying to hold him off. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, in practice on Friday, Kevin Harvick was tight. The car was plowing. It's still doing that, but that's not the only problem Harvick has with that car right now. Listen here.
Did that help you at all running any brakes to the back?
Yeah, I've run 2.5, 3 rounds to the back. I kind of lost. I just been grabbing when I could grab.
4 tires and an air pressure adjustment on that last pit stop for Kevin Harvick. Of course, he dominated here in May, looking for another solid run here tonight. For more on that brake problem, let's go to Tim Brewer at the Chevy Cutaway car.
Shannon, by manipulating the knob in the car, what Kevin's actually doing, when you look at the gauges right here, we normally set them 50 pounds to the front. But by changing this knob 3 rounds to the rear, look at what we've got right now. We've actually changed it. Now we're favoring the rear pedal, say 500 pounds, and we're only like 440 pounds to the front. So, hey, he's made a tremendous change by changing the brake pressure from the front of the car to the rear of the car to try to correct the problem.
All right, Brewer, I know it's been a long day, but get out of that seat and stand up and do your job down there.
We'll check in on him in about 10 minutes. He'll be dozing off in there. Thanks, Tim. Drivers do a lot of adjusting of the brakes, like he was talking about in the car during a race.
Yeah, that's one of the adjustments, and probably the only adjustment inside the race car that the drivers actually can make. And you can make a big change with your race car as to what it's doing. And sometimes you'll have to adjust. See Mike Bliss try to move over and give Kyle Busch a little tap there. I don't think he feels like he's getting quite enough room from him, but it looks like he might make the pass. Not quite there. But that brake adjustment is a good one to have, and sometimes in a run you'll be able to make that adjustment.
I used to have to take that thing and limit how far it would go for some drivers because they could dial themselves completely out. So you got to be careful with some of that stuff. You don't want the drivers having too much control over the setup.
I know Mike Bliss may feel that Kyle Busch is a little tired, but you don't want to tug on Superman's cape too many times. You don't want to lean on him too much in the corners here because Kyle will bite back. Up front, they are chasing Clint Boyer, the NASCAR Nationwide Series points leader, who is showing the way now for 61 laps.
Coming up right after the race, NASCAR Now here on ESPN2, 9:30 Eastern Time. Complete wrap-up of the chase activities here in Richmond today and all the motorsports happenings of this weekend here in Virginia's capital. Then it is off to New Hampshire, qualifying Friday afternoon, 3 Eastern Time. NHRA Carolinas National qualifying from the new track in Charlotte. That's next Saturday afternoon. Then the first race of the chase. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com from New Hampshire. Next Sunday, 1 Eastern on ABC. And the finals from the NHRA Carolinas Nationals next Sunday, 7 Eastern, ESPN2. That is just part of what's upcoming on the old motorsports calendar. Clint Boyer out in front having a nice cruise probably in this race compared to what the first one today was.
Oh, you got that right. You know, the guy's got to feel so good. He's locked himself in the chase for the championship just a couple hours ago, and now he's in this Nationwide car, just driving his brains out, having fun, and leading the race.
Yeah, we've documented time and time again how good a short track driver Clint Boyer is. And all of these, the Sprint Cup guys are up in the top 10. So it's interesting to see old Joey Logano in there mixing it up, hanging on with him.
Putting one of his rivals for the Nationwide Series championship a lap down. Brad Keselowski in that 88 car continues to struggle, Jamie.
Oh, that 88 car definitely. He said on the radio just a few moments ago, actually, that he's gotten worse since the last stop. And of course, like DJ said, a lot of the things they did to adjust for that problem, for the chattering, was track bar and air pressure adjustment, but he's going nowhere but backwards right now.
All right, so that's what's going on with Brad Keselowski. Now a lap down and running way back in 33rd position. Right now, though, let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Hey, Jamie, you got the race leader, too, huh?
I sure do. The guy's running the back, the front, whatever. But Clint Boyer right now, not only does he love running here, he has a great race car tonight, and that's something we don't hear from him every week. So he said, hey, guys, just to let you know, we don't need any adjustments. And you guys put that sticker tire on the right front, whatever it was, put that same air pressure in the other 3 because it's working out great for Clint Boyer. Shannon?
Yeah, Jamie, Carl Edwards, it was just 2 tires on that last pit stop. He told his crew chief, Drew Blickensurfer, I think we're going to be much better on the next run on 4 tires. Right now, the car is loose on the gas, and it's tossing through the center. They still think that they have something for Clint Boyer. He came into this race 222 points behind that first place. Dave.
When these cars raced here in May, Shannon, Joey Logano was still 22 days from his 18th birthday. He could not run in this event. He watched Denny Hamlin race his car to a victory. To get there tonight, he's going to have to get a car adjusted just a little bit. Loose in, tight center, loose off. They'll work on it next time. Mike?
Well, Dave, after driving 400 laps laps here in a Sprint Cup car, you can imagine some of the habits you developed, and they may be hurting Denny Hamlin just a little bit. Not too long ago, he radioed in and said, guys, I've been driving this car a little bit too much like the Cup car. That's why I've been getting beat, but I will adjust, and we will get better. They've charged all the way from the 27th starting position inside the top 5 right now, running strong, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, Kevin Harvick's still really struggling with those brakes. The car is tight in the center, free off, but the brakes are the biggest issue for this car right now. They made a lot of changes in practice on Friday, and they felt coming into this race that the car was strong, but those brakes, so important here at Richmond.
Shannon, as we mentioned earlier, Mike Bliss has basically said this is one of his best chances to get to victory lane here in 2008. He doesn't want to leave anything on the table. He gets a little bit loose there off the corner, but that's contrary to what he's been saying all night. He's been saying he's been tight, and because of that, they're going to make a track bar adjustment next time down pit road to try to loosen him up. But he looked to hopefully lose off the corner that time, Jamie.
Yeah, and David Rudiman struggling just a little bit with his 99 machine. He started 6th, he moved up a bit, but now he's slowly moving back. He says when he gets in the throttle, he has to pedal it because it's so free, and that is where the competition is getting him. So definitely wants some adjustments on the next pit stop. Mike?
Somewhat of a surprising run right now for Kyle Busch. Not because he's driving it, but because his crew chief, Trent Owens, thought the car was horrible during practice. Just couldn't figure it out. He said they changed just about everything he could think of on that race car to try to free it up. He's still saying it's a little bit tight, but for some reason, as we've seen his talent all year long, it really is no surprise Kyle Busch is able to keep that 32 running pretty strong, but they weren't all that optimistic coming in. Meanwhile, just behind him, Stephen Wallace, coming off a career-best finish the last time he was here in Richmond. He finished 5th back in May, trying to improve upon that. He has already shown signs of strength. At the beginning of this race, he gained 6 spots in the first 12 laps. Right now, he's saying he's just a little bit too loose getting into turn 3, but otherwise pretty happy, Jamie.
And Scott Wimmer behind him in 10th right now. I talked to him on the way out before he got in his car, and he said, you know, it was really great. It was a benefit for me to get to watch the Cup cars run. And we have a crash. Oh, we have a crash in the 21, guys.
21 car spinning around, Jamie. That's Austin Dillon, the 18-year-old grandson of Richard Childress, making his Nationwide Series debut. He will bring out caution for the 3rd time, and he just came around turn 4.
Hang on to it.
And
caution is out, guys.
The 40 car had just pulled down pit road, said he had a blown engine. We don't know if there might have been anything from that car, but Brian Clausen had just gone to the garage, and the 21 came around behind him and spun sideways.
Yeah, I think I was watching that. I'm not sure who he was battling with, but I think he was on the inside of a car, and probably a lesson learned there about you can really get loose on the inside of a car trying to power up out of the corner.
You got a little damage on that right front fender. Shows possible contact.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the 22 car he was battling with there.
That Andrew Ranger.
Leaders headed down pit road. There's Carl Edwards. Shannon.
Left rear wedge for Carl Edwards. He's going to take 4 tires this time. It was a 2-tire stop last time. This car is loose. Jamie.
But boy, really happy with the car, but like I said on that last stop, they wanted an air pressure adjustment to match that sticker tire. They just put 4 stickers on. Dave?
Joey Logano's going to get a 4-tire stop. As they come around to the left side, the rear tire changer is going to put a spring rubber in the left rear. That's going to tighten that car up just a little bit for him. That was his biggest complaint, a little loose.
Race off of pit road, Boyer. There comes Logano. He will gain a spot in spite of putting that spring rubber in. Edwards down 1. Rudiman up a spot. Scott Wimmer up 3 spots. Pat Smith and those guys getting it done again. Mike Bliss loses 2 positions in the pits, and so does Kyle Busch and Stephen Wallace. Here's the reason for the caution flag. Watch the 21 car to the top of your screen moving inside the 22.
Yeah, he just pushed up a little bit there, and in an effort to try not to hit the 22 very hard, he lost it.
Caution for the 3rd time today, coming out of lap 96. Back to the green in just a moment. Back at Richmond, Green Flag Racing, Clint Boyer leads him down. Joey Logano in 2nd. There is Denny Hamlin. You heard him say he would adjust his driving style to drive it more like a Nationwide car as opposed to the Cup car he ran earlier in the day. Side-by-side racing all around the racetrack. They were trying to go 3 wide a moment ago. This bunch here coming out of turn 2. And here they are 3 wide.
Yeah, they were 4 wide for just a second getting into turn 1. He said they're almost 4 wide right here coming off the corner. Landon Castle in his 5 car has been just smoking around the outside.
And Brad Keselowski in the 88 can't hardly get out of the way fast.
Look at this, 4 wide, guys.
2 outside, 1 inside, 2 outside, 1 inside, in the middle, clearly.
The 88 and 56 are trying to battle between the two of them to see who would get the lucky dog spot, because both those cars are a lap down, and now Keselowski is in front of the 56.
I heard Rusty talking about you can run all over this track, the bottom, the middle, the top. What's that? What do you call that fourth groove?
I think what Rusty said is you can run all over each other on this track.
Here's second spot. Denny Hamlin takes away from his teammate.
When Hamlin made the comment, as you watch Carl Edwards now move in on the 20 car for position, when Hamlin made the comment, DJ, about he was driving the car more like a Cup car than a Nationwide car, what was he doing?
I think the biggest thing with those Cup cars is you just can't charge the corner with those cars. And with these cars having less horsepower, you've got to get down in that corner. And I think Denny probably was just trying to float this car in there, and maybe he wasn't carrying the speed that he needed to, which would make him get back to the gas sooner and probably make the front end push on the exit of the corner. So if you drive it down in there, then you can make all of that work better.
It's really hard to believe how much a driver can change the handling of the car just by the way he drives. Like Dale said, just float it in the corner, get on the gas early, can actually make the car push off the corner. There's just so many things a driver can do.
Mike Bliss in the 1 car going underneath Ruderman in the 99. That's for 8th spot. You see Kyle Busch in front of him.
Yeah, Ruderman got in the wall pretty hard.
Yeah, he did. And now he will slow down, and sparks flying from the front of the car right in front of Landon Castle.
Yeah, he's back in the wall again. Got a real problem here now. He may not make it back.
Caution's out, caution's out. Stay up there. Stay up there, stay up there. All right, start easing your way down. Easing your way down. You got the 59 coming inside after him. All clear.
I wonder if he cut that tire that created the whole problem coming off of turn 4 to start with. It started to get really loose there.
Send it back around.
He was running in 8th position.
It's killed in the right front here. It's going to take probably more than the right front tire, I'm afraid.
The 88 car, by the way, will get the Aaron's lucky dog. So the battle with Danny O'Quinn paid off for him. So he will get back on the lead lap. There is Brad Keselowski's number 88, putting him back he'll be the last car in the lead lap in 27th position. Now, what exactly happened to Ruderman? He was battling for position there for 7th and 8th spot. Boom.
Yeah, he just got loose there and corrected it. Just didn't have enough room to save it.
Under caution for the 4th time here in just 109 laps at Richmond. Pace car pulling away, perfect timing. The top 3 cars, Bowyer, Hamlin, and Edwards, will lead him down to the green flag. It has been Clint Bowyer's kind of night. The points leader has led 2 times for 97 of the 112 laps.
It's going to be interesting to see. Denny Hamlin's obviously had a very fast race car. First time in this position, being up close to the leader. Nobody's been able to touch Clint Bowyer to this point. It would be interesting to see if Denny can stay with him.
Bowyer driving the car he won with at Richmond a year ago. Here's the 5 car. He's making some noise on these restarts.
Yeah, he has. He's got this high groove going, and he kind of sneaks up on these guys and gets on the outside, and he gets that position on them, and then they don't have that extra lane, so he's making some headway here. Dave?
And I asked crew chief Cam Strader how they kind of set up the car for this weekend. Well, we went to Toledo Speedway. I said, Toledo? That's an old half mile. It really is not a lot like this track. He said, yeah, I know, but both Keselowski, the teammate, and Castle had raced there before, so they wanted to go test there. And we got some pretty good information. I said, well, did you apply it here? He goes, yeah, we kind of stuck with it, but Pops said that he would never go back to Toledo again. They went away from that setup. So you got one teammate that kind of stayed with the test setups, the other that went away, and right now the 5 has the upper hand.
Landon Castle in that 5 car right behind Stephen Wallace. Now, Landon Castle is 19 years of age, and we ask him about being successful here and about focus.
I think the focus is the most important thing, you know, making sure your mind is on track, you're clear and ready to go for your race, and you know, it allows you to give the proper feedback to your crew chief and engineers, and you know, being focused, and it shows on the Cup side. You see how Jimmy Johnson, you know, when he gets focused, how well they perform. So I think that mental state is the biggest thing.
He is focused on gaining some positions now, running in the middle of 3 cars. He's trying to get by Stephen Wallace for position.
Stay focused.
Almost gets into Stanton Barrett up high in the 30 car. They are 9th and 10th, by the way. Steven was running in 9th, and now Landon Castle trying to take it away. Those are your two guys sleepers.
Now, Landon's looking pretty good here, but needs to get a little break from this 30 car, Stanton Barrett. He needs to let these guys go.
Stanton is a lap down, being shown in the 28th position.
What happens now, if you're a lap down like this and you're holding these guys up and really taking away their racing lane, they get frustrated. Sometimes you can wind up with a tore up race car doing that.
Yeah, these guys did a really good job of not letting that happen right there. That was some hard racing. We see Stephen Wallace fighting back on the inside of Landon Castle. Landon's really the only one that looks like he's making that middle to high groove work. I was wondering exactly what it was about these cars that wasn't as good as just the grip of the racetrack. I think part of it might have to do with the lack of horsepower that they have. If they go up high and make this a longer track, then they don't have that horsepower to make up that advantage.
And they also have more downforce, and so that might just make those cars, get down in the racetrack better and make that bottom groove work more. But we've seen Landon make it work, and we saw Kevin Harvick try it earlier.
We heard that both the 5 and 88 are team cars. They both tested at Toledo. I don't understand how the 5 can be so good and the 88 can be struggling. Here is Keselowski showing back in 26th position.
Well, there's something wrong with this 88 car. They're going to find out what it is when they get back if they can't find it during this race. What are they saying down there, Jamie?
Well, you got that right. Exactly. They've come in 4 times already, Andy, and they're scratching their heads. They don't know what's wrong with it. Brad goes out there. He said it's still chattering. He has no wheel input, and he says the car is turning on its own. So what do you think that could be?
That could be anything. That's just a lot of stuff to try to figure out. But they're going to have to get it back and really do a post check on this thing, and they're going to find something wrong because this team is better than this. They don't run this bad usually.
Brad Keselowski not only dropping back in the field, dropping back in the point standings, coming off that worst finish of the year last week at California, 33rd, trying to get back on the short track. Remember, he won the week before in Bristol, and King drove that car from the back of the pack all the way to beat Clint Boyer. But he is losing ground quickly here. Now 314 points behind, and there will be just 7 races to go after tonight. Back up front, Clint Boyer. They're chasing him on the racetrack, and they're chasing him in the point standings. Boyer, one of 4 drivers pulling double duty full time in the NASCAR Sprint Cup and NASCAR Nationwide Series, trying to get his first Nationwide Series championship this year.
It is here. The final 10 races of the season to decide who will be the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Race 1 of the chase next Sunday, New Hampshire. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC. Let's see. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, they've won the last 9 races, between them 3 apiece. Jeff Burton's won more races at that track than anybody else. We got all kinds of things going on. We'll talk about it from New Hampshire next Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. Clint Boyer out in front. He's been pretty dominant in this one. He's led 116 of the 130 laps that we have run so far. As we check out our Holiday Inn Express race summary, Boyer has spent just about the entire race out front after Joey Logano paced a few laps from the pole early on in the race. A lot of cars on the lead lap. Really not a whole lot of spinning and crashing. A lot of minor spins off turn 4, but other than that, it's been a fairly clean race.
Yeah, it's been a pretty clean race. So one thing I'm noticing right now, I was just talking to Dale Jarrett upstairs. He said that most of the cars are staying on the bottom, unlike the Cup race where they were on the top of the track, middle of the track. These guys got so much grip, they're just running around the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just out. There's plenty of space on the racetrack. We don't see big groups of people running with each other. Everybody just knows the tail, using a lot of room. Everybody's been very wise.
Little fight for second spot here as Denny Hamlin in the 18 tries to hold off Carl Edwards in the 60. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, though.
Tell you what, that top groove's working pretty good right there, but you can see Carl Edwards got a lot of bite on the bottom side of the racetrack right now. He's catching Denny Hamlin on the bottom. Looks like he's going to clear him off of turn 4 right here.
So Carl second, some 2 1/3 seconds behind Clint Boyer, who is the race leader. Now remember back on lap 54, I talked about a few of those minor spins off turn 4. Lap 54, one of those was David Stremme. He went all the way back at that point to 31st place at lap 59. He just entered the top 10 a couple of minutes ago, Dave, and now he's up into 9th.
Yep, he's got his hands full with Greg Biffle right now, who's trying to take that position. But he did something that, Rusty, I know you would never do. After they made some changes, he said, you know, I kind of liked it the way it was. So they went back on this last pit stop, put their track bar and wedge the way they had it, and David's picked up, as I said, 1 position since the restart.
Well, you can really tell he's running good right now. He had that spin earlier, just misjudged a little bit, got in the side of a car, and the team's done a great job getting him back up in the 9th position right now. He looks great out there.
A couple other guys whose performances we want to call out here that are having solid nights in the top 20. Remember, we talked about Richmond being a good place for some guys that we might consider dark horses to show themselves well. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has been rock solid all night in this 25 car. He started 18th. He's running 15th.
Been very consistent all night long. Bobby's kept that car inside the top 20, well inside the top 20 all night. Looking for a good finish for Bobby. He could use one. He's had a tough year, but he's a good young racer, and hopefully he can bring that baby home to the top 10.
Another guy rock solid all night. Jason Keller started this race in that 11 car in the 17th position, and Keller right now is running 16th right there.
Yeah, Keller's had a good solid performance most of the year, and right now tonight he's running awful well, also sitting there in the 16th position like you said, Alan. Another guy probably waiting for another pit stop to tune on that car better, get it handling better for the end of the race.
And this may be the attaboy performance of the night. How about Josh Wise in the 00 car? Took the green flag in 43rd position. He's running 17th.
Pretty good for Josh Wise. If you never met Josh Wise, a great guy, real kind, really appreciates everything, all the chances that he's getting from Michael Waltrip Racing. And I like this kid. He's doing great.
What are they saying about this car, Shannon?
Yeah, Alan, I mean, you're talking about Josh Wise. The biggest shot he got this weekend was actually getting to the race because, of course, qualifying was rained out. He was not supposed to be in. He was the last car on the list to go home, and someone dropped out, so he got in. The car right now, it's pretty good for Josh, just a little bit tight. But, you know, I spoke with David Rudiman, his Michael Waltrip Racing teammate, and David told me he really thinks this kid has a lot of talent. If he could get in a competitive car, he knows that he can prove that he's a talent.
He's showing some talent tonight here at Richmond. Young guy coming from the back up toward the front as we've got now 109 laps to go, and Clint Boyer is the man right now. He's opened up almost a 2-second lead on second place, Carl Edwards. But you never know what's going to happen on the short track in Richmond, plus another set of pit stops still to come. Don't go away.
Working lap 148 of the Emerson 250 here for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Richmond International Raceway. It has been all Clint Boyer, as he has led twice for 133 of the 148 laps. There have been 4 different leaders and 4 lead changes. Joey Logano, who sat on the pole by virtue of owner's points, led the first 7 laps. Carl Edwards has led 6 laps, and Bernie Lamar has led twice. But otherwise, it's been this car, the 2 car of Clint Boyer. Edwards in second spot, Denny Hamlin third, Harvick fourth, Scott Wimmer looking for a ride for 2009 in fifth spot. Bliss, Kyle Busch, Strimmy, Biffle, and then this car, Joey Logano, in 10th position.
He's falling back a little bit. It's kind of faded here. It's like can't really tell if it's a tight situation, but he just doesn't seem to be able to have a handle on it right now. Dave?
Guys, the 20 car sat on the pole. The 20 car is having a great fall. Believe me, all the King's horses and all the King's men are up on top of the pit box trying to get this 20 competitive again. I mean, Steve DeSouza, Jimmy Maycar, Greg Zipadelli, Doug Hewitt, even J.D. Gibbs has been up there. They're thinking about what to do for this 20. The main problem is that he has gone loose into the corner, and it may be because of the brakes. Pulsating is the way Joey described him. When I stand on him, it just kicks the rear end out. Really having trouble with it right now, and he's lost 6 positions since that restart.
That is the man, Greg Zipadelli, by the way, that Joey Logano will be listening to in the headset a lot from now on. At least once more this year, and maybe starting in 2009 all the time as his Cup crew chief. Little family Wallace battle here. Last time these guys were this close, I think it was the final laps at Daytona.
We haven't seen them together, but that was just a little mishap they had on the last lap going for that spot. There's plenty of distance between them right here.
Yeah, Mike Wallace in the 7 car. That's his nephew, Steven. And they are battling for position. That is for 13th spot.
Mike was really good in practice on Friday. He was really excited about his car and see him take the spot away from Steve. He felt like that if they would have qualified, he could have been right up front. Now he seems to be making his way towards that top 10.
Got to believe Steven's struggling a little bit. That car he had when they dropped the green flag from 20th position, ran all the way up to 8th spot, was moving in toward the top 5. And since this pit stop, he is struggling, staying just outside the top 10 there in 14th position.
The racetrack's changing. It's getting cooler. A lot more rubber on the track. They're probably going to have to work on the car a little bit on this next stop.
That's what makes it difficult. If you made any adjustment the last time on it, you don't know if it was the set of tires, was it the adjustment. We see Clint Boyer putting a lap on Mark Green here. He hadn't had any problems with his. It's been on the bottom all the time and just digging. What a big day for him.
The only problem he's got here is Carl Edwards is catching him here the last few laps. I don't think if this thing goes green, I think Carl's going to run up right on the back bumper of Clint Boyer.
We'll have to see about that. It's always a little more difficult at times for the leader to catch this traffic. You know, the guys don't want to let him get by because they're trying to stay on the lead lap. Once that happens, then it seems like the guys in second gets a little bit more benefit. Carl Edwards' car right on the bottom of the racetrack also. You can see him just a little bit on the free side. See David Reagan trying to pass Joey Logano here and take him outside of the top 10.
David Reagan had given it a gallant effort trying to get into the chase for the Sprint Cup car. Couldn't quite get there. Had his car in the contention in the 12th spot in the Cup race earlier today. Ended up not being able to get it done and said, I'm just going to focus now on doing the best I can with the Cup car and maybe getting a win in the Nationwide car.
He's got no regrets. He made a real run at that. He tried everything. The team tried everything they could. Just a couple bad breaks during the race kept him from having a shot at it. But maybe next year. That team's really on the rise.
Here is the future of NASCAR right here. The 5-car, 19-year-old Landon Castle, the 18-year-old Joey Logano. You will hear those names for many, many years to come. Joe Gibbs racing the 20-car. Rick Hendrick and Dale Earnhardt Jr. who co-own the 5.
Andy and I were having a conversation earlier about these guys getting these opportunities like this, and he said, you weren't in anything like this. I said, I didn't even drive a race car until I was 20 years old, so it's hard for me to fathom what these guys are going through at this age, but they have a lot more experience, Andy, because they start racing younger.
Yeah, it seems like they must, you know, these guys started racing probably go-karts when they were just kids, and now they have a lot of racing experience by the time they're 18 years old. It was, you know, to get to this point, the guys had to race for years just to get to this series, you know, back 20 years ago.
Dave, you got more on the 5?
Yeah, and it's races like we mentioned earlier at Toledo Speed. Oh, we got a big crash. A 22 is in the wall, guys. We'll hold that story.
Thank you, Dave. Andrew Ranger spins it up and pops it pretty hard.
This is just off of turn 4. In kind of a trouble spot for these guys tonight. We've seen a lot of them have trouble exiting.
Well, the way that thing snapped around, I was suspect he got a little help.
Andrew, the reigning NASCAR Canadian Tour champion.
Get it start.
Looks like Marcus Ambrose is right inside Andrew Ranger. And, yep, he did get a little help from Marcus Ambrose.
Or if you're in the 22 car, it's a lot of help.
If you're scoring at home, that was the Australian into the Canadian. Let's go to the pit. Shannon.
Yeah, Doc, Carl Edwards, loose in, loose off. He says the rear end feels like it's tossing, so they're going to take air pressure out of the right front, in the left rear, down on the track bar a little bit for Carl Edwards. Mike.
Denny Hamlin saying his car is a little bit tight. Mike Ford going to call for an air pressure adjustment. Air out of the left front, air in the right rear, trying to free him up a little bit, Jamie.
And Clint Boyer been dominating. He has 1 win already this season, looking for a 2nd win. He says his car's pretty good, just tighten up a bit, so 4 tires and fuel for the 2 car.
Boyer coming off a pit road. You see Logano still sitting there getting right side tires. Strimmy is there. Here comes Kevin Harvick off. And Edwards. Wimmer gains a couple of spots. Hamlin will lose 2. Bliss back 1. Kyle Busch. And David Reagan and Joey Logano will each gain a position to put themselves in the top 10 here when we get set to go back to green. Welcome back to Richmond. Clint Boyer remains our leader. Now let's sort out what happened a moment ago with this latest caution flag between Marcos Ambrose and Andrew Ranger. We saw the contact entering turn 1, but was there something before that that started it?
Yeah, in the interest of fairness, let's run this tape back a little bit. You see here the 2 cars get together and go down to the next corner. Marcus says, hey, I didn't like that. And he gets in the back of Andrew Ranger. He gave him a chance to save it. He just didn't take it. Well, not a good chance, maybe.
It's an interesting way you crew chiefs look at things sometimes. Well,
you do know he was Earnhardt's crew chief for a number of years.
Yeah.
That's why he looks at it like that.
It's hard racing, but
Ranger's got his car going again. He's got some toe-in problems, though. He's going to have to get worked on.
When the 22 got into the 59, he didn't cause a wreck, you know. So I don't know. You can see them racing down into turns 1 and 2 here. Looks like the 22 slides up. He gets a little loose, slides up into the 59. But really no harm.
Marcus saved the car right
That
here.
was the start of it.
And in fairness to Andrew Ranger, he only has 2 career starts in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, one on an oval, and that was in Bristol. Here's Boyer pulling away, and whatever happened in the 33 pits with those 4 tires, they had a heck of a stop down there for Kevin Harvick. We'll see if now Harvick can handle Clint Boyer. No one else has been able to handle him here for the first 167 laps.
We know that Kevin Harvick thought this was his best chance to get the first victory for his own team, or Delaney's team. And we're going to see right here if he's got anything for Clint Boyer. Nobody else has. They've taken their shots at him. We'll see what Mr. Harvick can do with him. He had a great pit stop to get in that position.
Just get up there and rattle his cage a little bit. Maybe he can get this lead away from him.
Kevin Harvick is a 4-time winner at Richmond, and he led 98 laps in the race back in the spring. And we mentioned the fact that, you know, he's had Tony Stewart winning a car, he's had Bobby Labonte winning a car, but we asked Kevin Harvick, you have yet to win in the car that you and your wife Delana own.
I think it'll be much more emotional just for the fact that you're emotionally tied to everything involved in it, from hiring the people that work on the team, you know, to seeing all the cars built, and it's just going to be a great day for myself. The nationwide teams have won, but I hadn't won in a car. I've won in our trucks, but I hadn't been able to do that in the car yet.
He's got 80 laps and just that far to go to get his first win.
Yeah, I think, Andy, you can probably appreciate that. I mean, I know you won races as a crew chief with Dale Earnhardt and stuff, but when you won with your race team, man, that meant a lot.
Yeah, it does mean a lot. I remember we won that first race at Talladega, and I've jumped on the hood of the car. Pretty good short track driver, isn't he?
You can get it done about anywhere, but certainly on the short tracks. Shannon, you have more on Mr. Harvick?
Yeah, Kevin Harvick on that last pit stop said the car was good, but isn't there always a button there? It's a little bit tight in the center. Neutral off, though. Pretty happy with the car. Air pressures on that last pit stop for Kevin Harvick. Jamie.
Well, Shannon, the guy that he's chasing is his Richard Childress Racing teammate, Clint Boyer, of course, who's been dominating tonight. And I've talked to Clint before about what it would mean to get a win just straight up, lead the most laps, and win. And he said he wants it more than anything. Why? Because he does have one win this year at Bristol, but he won it when it was rain delayed and shortened. The other time he thinks he should have won was Bristol just a couple of weeks ago when he led the most laps and then made a small mistake and got too loose on his own and lost it. So tonight, guys, maybe a little redemption for Clint Boyer.
Maybe a little bit for Clint. The same car, by the way, as you mentioned, you know, he ran last year and won at Richmond and won at Phoenix. So the car, they brought it back here with a few adjustments on it, and obviously it's getting a job done here. Scott Wimmer, talk about the 29 car for just a moment. This is the car he has been sharing this year with Jeff Burton. He was notified last week that they will not retain him in 2009. They're going to share the car between Stephen Light and Jeff Burton. So Scott Wimmer, as we ride along with his Carfax telemetry, is trying to impress some people to look for opportunities for 2009.
He's already impressed a lot of people. I mean, just winning the race this year has shown that he is, you know, capable of doing great things in this series.
Landon Castle car again. Every time we find a battle, he's in the middle of it, isn't he?
He's raced hard tonight.
Yeah, Greg Biffle, Joey Logano. He's a 38 to 66. All these guys trying to fight. It's not kind of the same real estate here, but the 5's been kind of a place of his own. Mike?
Yeah, and also on screen right there, you also see Jason Leffler a couple of cars back, and well, he's not having as good a night as Landon Castle. He came over the radio not too long ago and said the car is absolutely terrible. We have zero grip and have a lot of work to do.
Whoa, left side of your screen, the 32 slides up across the racetrack. Kyle Busch as David Stremme goes by. And Strimme's teammate on the right side of your screen is Stephen Wallace trying to make a move on the 38.
38 is not on the lead lap. These other guys are.
Remember back to Friday, he told us that his car wasn't very good in practice, but they were making a lot of changes, and he was trying to be very optimistic that those changes were going to be helping him when it got to be race time.
Leffler just trying to hang on and watch the 5 car of Castle, who is on the lead lap.
Whoa, man. Castle actually got a piece of the wall there.
He's driving that thing.
He is up on that steering wheel.
See him slide right up off of turn 2. We talk about how tight that is. Using up all the racetrack.
Got a good seat for it right there.
Logano now in the 20 car. Trying to move in on the 5 of Landon Castle. For position, that would be for the 11th spot.
See Steve Wallace there. He talked about the future of the sport, and these are 3 young men that are going to have a lot of say-so in our sport. See Steven now try to make a move on the inside of Joey Logano. A lot of talented young drivers there with good race equipment. Speaking of young, there's Austin Dillon in the 21 car. His first time in the Nationwide car.
Clint Boyer now able to pull away by a second and a half. I'll make it almost now 2 seconds over Kevin Harvick. It is Harvick and Edwards in second and third. Hamlin and Wimmer in the top 5. Just 68 laps to go here at Richmond.
Don't forget NASCAR now right after our Nationwide Series coverage, 9:30 Eastern here on ESPN2 with the wrap-up of all that's happened on this doubleheader day here in Richmond. Then it's off to New Hampshire, qualifying Friday, the race on Sunday. We've got coverage of practice Saturday, plus Saturday and Sunday, NHRA coverage from the brand new track at Charlotte, the Carolinas Nationals. All that on the motorsports calendar coming up this week here on the ESPN networks. Clint Boyer is in command. A pretty good day in Virginia's capital for Boyer so far. Made the chase earlier today in the Sprint Cup side of things, and he is dominating this Nationwide Series race so far, out in front by 2.5 seconds.
Well, he's feeling good right now after being locked in that chase for the championship, and he is running away from these cats at the moment.
But you know what I always say.
Not over till it's over.
Not over yet. You never know what can happen in these races. Now, we've talked a lot about the cars in the top 10. Want to drop back and do a little up to speed on some of the guys just behind this lead group. Stephen Wallace is running 11th, Michael.
Yeah, and he was looking for a little bit better night than what he's had so far, Alan. He was expecting to be at least as good as he was in the spring. Remember, that was his career best finish. He finished 5th, but right now the car very tight. Just the balance is off. It's not what he was looking for, and he's a little bit surprised considering it's the same setup, the same car he had back in the spring, Dave.
Mike, that sounds like exactly what you could say for the 20 right now. Balance is off, just not right. Has not gained any positions. In fact, lost a couple in that gaggle at the restart. 20 car still struggling right now. Mike, back to you.
And Bobby Hamilton Jr., another guy who's not very happy tonight either. Lacking forward bite and has been falling back steadily. Just really hasn't had the car he was looking for tonight, Dave.
Cam Strader told me they weren't sure how they were going to be when they went in the race tonight based on pre-race adjustments, which were very few in this series. Said last week we really messed up. Jimmy Johnson's car was junked basically all night. So they hope they would do better tonight. Not too bad, but struggling just a little bit in the 5 car. Mike?
And Jason Keller, another guy who was hoping to have a pretty big performance tonight. And as the season winds down, he really wants to impress some people because he was informed not too long ago that this team is going to go in a different direction in 2009, and he will not be part of the fold. In other words, as he said earlier this week, he's a free agent. Certainly trying to impress people looking for a ride next year, Shannon.
Yeah, Mike, holding strong in 16th is Josh Wide. What a great run for this young man. First time at Richmond, first time in a Michael Waltrip racing car, and they have made some changes to that car. The car's been tight through the turns all day, so they're really working on it, and he is having a great run for a first time at this racetrack. Now, right behind him, Marcos Ambrose. Gary Cogswell, his crew chief, came on board with this team in April, just a few weeks before the May race here at Richmond. Instead of working on the short track programs at that time, Gary figured he would work on the Mexico setup at super speedways. He said, that's where I thought we needed help. They finished 25th here in May, but now they have had time to work on their setups on
Shannon back in the 18th position is Mike Wallace. 21st time he's run here in the Nationwide Series. All night long, tight race car adjust on it, tight race car adjust on it. Well, they finally got it loose, too loose. He's lost 5 positions since that restart. Mike?
And Kenny Wallace, pretty much you can echo what you just said. He's loose as well. Not the car he was looking for tonight. He's been wallowing back just outside the top 15 and in between, say, 20th or so. This has not been the night Kenny Wallace has been looking for, Jamie.
Well, Elliott Sadler is behind the wheel of the 9 car for just the 4th time this season. Today has been a struggle for him, though. He finished 37th in the Cup race earlier today. And tonight, in this car, he says he has a bad vibration right now, and the front end is so bad, there's nothing they can do about it. They're kind of just riding around. They started 14th, currently 20th. Doc?
Elliott Sadler there is the last car in the lead lap. There's Clint Boyer, the leader, trying to move in on Sadler to put him a lap down. Only 20 cars on the lead lap, and Clint Boyer is having the kind of night that drivers dream about.
Perfect race car. He's just being able to do everything that he wants. We see a battle for second now. Kevin Harvick's been in second since the restart. Carl Edwards working on him, trying to take that spot away out of turn 4.
Harvick not going to give it up too easy. Got traffic in front of Edwards. Maybe he can pin him back, but Edwards makes the move. And here's the 64 car. Yeah,
this guy here has been picking him up and putting him down since he had that spin and went back to the tail end of the lead lap cars.
Stremme, 3 of the last 7 laps, or 4 of the last 7, he has been faster than the leader, Clint Boyer. Clint Boyer driving the car number 2. The car has great history at this racetrack because a year ago, it's the car he brought here and went to victory lane as a winner at Richmond International Raceway. Back at Richmond under caution for the 6th time tonight. Contact with a couple of young drivers, Landon Castle and Josh Wise, battling for 15th position. There's the Toyota, the Michael Waltrip-owned Toyota of Josh Wise that slammed the wall here at the start-finish line.
These guys are going at it hot and heavy. This 5 and 0-0. You can see this coming for at least a lap, maybe a lap and a half.
Yeah, they missed a good chance at wrecking the lap before this. As they come out of turn 4 here, Josh Wise slides up. Just runs the 5 out of racing room.
Man, a 5 car is trying to climb the wall. This guy's just got a little argument over space.
Now that's how it ended. Let's show you how it started just a few laps earlier here going into turn 1. These guys are at the 0-0 trying to get underneath the 5.
Yeah, he dove in there, got a little bit loose. Actually forced the 5 up the racetrack a little bit more. This allowed the 21 of Austin Dillon to come back on the inside of them. And that created a 3-wide situation.
So they were about a lap away from wrecking that. Josh Wise, former USAC Sprint Car champion, midget champion, runner-up in Silver Crown. He's been successful everywhere he has been. He has been a test driver for Michael Waltrip.
See the brakes on fire. You got a little piece of rubber or something on fire inside the wheel. Leaders are on pit road.
Let's go down to Shannon.
Yeah, Carl Edwards pulling his car in the pit box. These guys have had some slow pit stops, so they really need to get him out of here quickly. They're going to get 4 tires and fuel. He says the car is decent. Mike.
Just before coming down pit road, Denny Hamlin made a promise to his team. He told them, if you get me off second, I will get around the 2 car in a matter of laps. 4 tires, air pressure adjustment, and fuel on the 18, Jamie.
Mike, when Clint Boyer won last year, it was the money stop at the end that won them the race. It was their final stop. They made the battle down pit road. It was a great stop. No changes for the 2. Dave.
Veteran Greg Biffle, 4 tires, a wedge adjustment. Pretty good, he described his race car. He gets out down pit lane, coming from 9th position on that run.
Leaders have been on and off pit road. The only car that I can see at this point in time that was on the lead lap that did not come in was David Stremme.
It's going to turn out to be a huge mistake for Stremme. Yeah, these guys are going to come filing by him so fast. He may, the only thing we were just speculating up here, Dale said he may not have a set of tires because of that spin. Dave?
Andy, he does not have a set of tires because of that spin. The tires they could have put on the car for David Stremme, 30-lap scuffs. They discussed it. David said, well, I think we're just going to have to take what we got out here. It's at least as good as what's behind the wall.
Sometimes you just have to play the cards you're dealt, and that's the hand that David's got. It's not going to be a good one.
Here's a spin from earlier, the contact with Brad Teague. So he came on the pit road and used that final set of tires on lap 162. So he will have to go the final 88 laps with those tires on the car. Can he hang on? Back in a moment. We are going to start to crown a NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. It all begins with chase number 5, 5th year for the chase. Race 1 coming your way in New Hampshire, presented by GoDaddy.com next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern time on ABC, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Alan Bestwick, Brad Doherty, Rusty Wallace, and all the gang from the Magic Mile. Who will it be? We know Kyle Busch has got the #1 seed in Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. 40 laps to go. David Strimmy did not pit. He is the leader. Clint Boyer did pit, and he's had the tough car tonight to beat. Let's check in his pits with Jamie.
He sure has. Dan Deringhoff is his crew chief. So I asked Dan, on Friday you guys had one practice. It was during the day. Clint told me, I don't think we're that good. How did you set this car up so well?
I don't know. We weren't that good, and so that kind of forced us in to make some changes on the BB&T Chevrolet that we usually probably wouldn't do, and luckily it seems like it's turned out pretty good.
How do you feel your chances are right about now?
Well, I mean, we're still racing, and so that's why they call it racing. You really don't know, but it looks pretty decent. I just hope we keep doing what we've been doing.
What a win. It would be huge for this team, Shannon.
Yeah, Jamie, down here with Drew Blickensterfer, Carl Edwards, crew chief. It seems like right about 20 laps, your car really comes along and gets very fast. We have just under 40 in this race. How do you think the car is going to be towards the end?
You know, we didn't put fuel into that time. See if we could come around a little quicker than that. Clint's been so strong on the first 20, 30 laps. After that, we can keep up with him, but it takes that long to keep up with him. Hopefully, we can keep up with him the first 20 this time and have something for the last 20 for him.
All right, it's been a busy day for Carl Edwards with the Cup race and now the Nationwide. He sure would love to get a victory. Dave.
Dale Ferguson calls the shots for David Strimmy. Well, I guess you told him he's kind of got what he's got from this point on, huh?
Yeah, David's got what he's got. We didn't come down. Right there at the end, we ran for a set of tires. They said we had a set of tires because we spun. I don't quite understand that. We'll take them if we can get them, but it was a little bit too late. We found out after it was too late to pit. So David's got what he's got. We've got a great race car tonight. I mean, I hate it for him. We got spun by that car early, but I have all the faith in the world that he can stay up there and at least stay ahead of a few of them. So
Dale did remind him there's going to be a few more cautions, and that would help him.
Penske on the side of that Chevrolet. It's already been a pretty good day for Roger Penske. His driver, Elio Castroneves, won the season finale for the Indy Racing League, although Scott Dixon won the championship. Congratulations to Chip Ganassi's bunch. David Strimmy leading here. We'll come back with a green in a moment. Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. Just 35 laps to go here in the Emerson 250. David Strimmy is the leader. They called off the start. That's why the pace car had pulled away and then came down pit road. We'll pull back up in front of the field. The 33 car, we are being told, of Kevin Harvick had a commitment line violation, and they must enforce that. So that's why he is dropping back.
That means they'll have to wait another race before Kevin's going to get his first victory with his team.
He must have been undecided whether to stay on the racetrack or come in. That's usually the only way you have that violation.
Let's see what happened here.
Well, this was just after they've pitted here. This was the lap before the pit road was open, actually.
They were waving the pit road closed sign, and he pulled down, and then they said no, and he went back up, and that's the commitment violation.
That's a tough break. He had a great race car tonight.
Yeah, a little communication problem there.
It's an honest mistake. I mean, he thought the pit road was going to be open that time. And then when he saw the red light.
Yeah. Usually the first time the pace car goes by there, it's open. You kind of get used to that, and when they change things up, somebody needs to let that driver make him aware of that.
Kevin Harvick now will be the final car on the lead lap. There are 19 of those. It'll be David Strimmy leading him down in the Chevrolet. Boyer in another Chevy. Edwards in the Ford. Wimmer in a Chevy. David Reagan. Biffle, Hamlin, Logano, Bliss, and Kyle Busch. That's the top 10. 34 laps to go. How long can Strimmy hang on with tires that have been on the car for quite a while?
I think Clint Boyer will dispense of him rather quickly here as soon as he gets that opportunity. They're not too wide, but it's be a matter of how long Strimmy can hold on. You see Carl Edwards going to the outside of Clint Boyer right there.
Lap car of Kelly Byers on the inside, so Boyer can't get by. Now he will go underneath Byers.
That was rather impressive. Now it won't be long. You see Carl Edwards on the outside with Streamy, trying to push him. He's hoping he could just get in front of that 2 car. Nobody's been able to make it happen. Right behind them, they are 3 wide.
Streamy hanging pretty tough, but the fresh tires taking their toll.
Here, Carl.
Oh, here goes
Carl's
Edwards.
Inside.
Oh, baby.
Carl getting aggressive here.
Well, they have a little history between them, and it's usually been in this scenario when the 60's behind the 2.
Well, see, that was Milwaukee. That was the first time they had contact. Carl ended up winning. He also had a little contact at Watkins Glen.
See Scott Wimmer coming into the 3rd spot, passing David Streamy there, who's really going to have a tough time holding on.
So far, so good for Carl. We heard Root Blickensdorfer, his crew chief, say if they could just stay close enough, they might have something for this 2 car in the last 20 laps.
One thing that you can hope is maybe the set of tires, as they keep changing them, they might get off a little bit, and that Boyer wouldn't be quite as fast. We see Greg Biffle down on the inside here. He's battling with Kyle Busch. They're trying to go by Jason Leffler. That's a lap down.
That's 8th and 9th, talking about the 16 and 32 of Biffle and Busch. Mike Bliss right behind them.
Here we go. This is for the lead.
They are 1-2 in the point standings.
Okay,
and
somebody's passed Clint Boyer for the lead
for the first time tonight. And Scott Wimmer's car is awful fast, too.
Scott Wimmer has 1 quick race car.
So Alan Bessick says it's not over till it's over. And Clint Boyer looked like he was a sure winner about 50 laps ago.
That's because he's a big Yogi fan. 27 laps to go. Edwards has only led 7 laps, but right now it's the important part. He's at the lead with just 27 laps to go.
Now the important thing is that Scott Wimmer's on the outside of the 2 here and pushing him back even further. So.
Well, I tell you what, guys, I mean, I like what they said earlier on Carl Edwards. They brought him down, put 4 tires on him, but didn't fill it up with fuel. Actually, he's got a lighter car right now because of that. And it looks as though it's just running quicker on the restarts, and that's where he's getting beat. Oh, caution. Jason Leffler, the 38 car, hard in the wall.
Got some fun there.
See Jason, he's been a lap down running amongst these leaders. And what happens is the patience runs a little thin when you get down to the end of the race. I don't know what happened here, but
got checked up by the time you darted down. He darted down too, bud.
You can see the 1 getting loose on the outside right in front of Leffler, and then Jason tries to go to the inside and didn't realize, I believe that's Bobby Hamilton Jr. right there. He kind of cut across the nose of his car.
Hamilton Jr. is a lead lap car. Like I said, these guys are just not going to have the patience with guys that are lap down when you get inside of 30 laps to the finish.
Leffler will make his way on pit road. He doesn't need Sunoco fuel, but he does need some good years and a little pry bar to work on the back of that race car.
And they talked about not putting fuel in that 60 car there. What exactly are they trying to accomplish with that?
They're trying to keep the weight distribution a little. If they, a little bit loose. If you don't put fuel in, it keeps the weight towards the front of the car, makes it a little bit tighter, makes it a little better in these short runs. Plus, it's lighter.
Pace car pulling away, 22 laps to go. Who's it going to be? Edwards, Wimmer is there, Boyer. Edwards had taken the lead. Scott Wimmer might have the car to beat here. He was moving in on those leaders.
Carl gets a big jump here on the restart.
Yeah, Wimmer got a nice run off of 2 off that high line, though. He cleared the lap traffic of the 47 car there, so that's going to help him out. Man, his car's going through the center of the corner good.
He drove that thing in there, too.
Remember, the 29 and 2 are teammate cars. Are both owned by Richard Childress Racing. Wimmer, who won at Nashville, Tennessee earlier in the year, moving back in on Carl Edwards. More on Wimmer. Jamie.
Well, guys, Scott Wimmer came in on that last pit stop on lap 206, and he said that this car just doesn't feel as good as it did on the last run. So they put 4 tires on it, made an air pressure adjustment, and made a wedge adjustment. And that car has come to life as he sits second.
He's got a really good run, but Carl Edwards, he's kind of making a habit of this. Late race deals, you know, getting his car right and then coming on strong. Not sure if he's playing possum back there with these guys or they're just that good at adjusting the cars.
Oh. Crash in turn 4 all. What a tough break for these guys. Stephen Wallace, who's having such a good run tonight. He in a 21.
Austin Dillon.
Wallace, man, trying to get his car fired and we'll get it fired.
Wallace is going to be able to continue here without a lot of damage. Lost all of his track position, though.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of time for him to make up. He had a good run. Austin Dillon's really done a good job tonight in this first race in this nationwide series. See what happens.
Top of the screen, and Austin Dillon's car just slips up.
Yeah, that's a tough spot down there in the center of that corner. You get in there just a little bit hard. Either the car might bottom out or you just get over on that right front and it'll really make it loose right in the center. He jumped up into the side of Stephen Wallace.
Stephen was running 9th. He has run in the top 10 much of the night, is up as high as 6th and sort of hovering there, waiting for yet another maybe top 5 finish. And that brings out caution number 8 on the night.
Yeah, this is one of those things that Rusty's probably going to have to sit down with him because it's easy for a young driver to get frustrated. He was doing his job, had run well all night long, and then he's going to say, Dad, I didn't get the finish that I deserved tonight. And Rusty's going to tell him sometimes it doesn't happen like that. So, Jamie?
Well, guys, as I just reported, Scott Wimmer, best he's been all night. You guys came in and made some serious adjustments, and the car seems to have come to life. What all did you do?
Little air pressure, little wedge, little track bar. We've been working on it pretty hard all night. Pretty good in the short run, which I think it's going to end over. Hopefully we got something for Carl here. You know, I hate it for our teammate. He's been really good all night. You know, if we get a long run, he'll probably beat everybody. But Holiday Inn Chevrolet's been fast, so I'm happy.
See if they can hold on. Like I said, it's best it's been all night, Mike.
And Jamie catching up with Mike Ford, now crew chief for Denny Hamlin. Just a handful of laps remaining. You guys are back and forth. Can you get to the front?
Yeah, we have a pretty good race car tonight, but we've heard him here in the pits. You know, these guys have done double duty over the wall as well, and we've given up some spots here late in the race, and it's going to be tough, but we've got a good race car, and you know, I know Denny's not done yet. You know, those guys get racing in front of us. Anything can happen here.
It's going to be fun to watch, Dave.
And the 6 car jumps into the top 5. Mike Kelly, does he go any further?
Yeah, I think so. David's been doing a great job all night. He's drove the discount tire forward up to the front. He's hungry. This team's hungry. We're going to show him what we got here tonight.
All right, 1 to go, guys.
There's David Reagan. Been a long day for David and several others here who ran the 400 laps in the NASCAR Sprint Cup race. David almost got that car in the chase. Had some misfortune late and finished 32nd. The 66 car, by the way, has been on and off of pit road. Stephen Wallace.
The 47 car got the free pass that time. The 88 had actually gotten it the time before. He's back on the lead lap. As much as they've struggled tonight, he's back on there, but he's not having a very good night.
Guys, who's your horse? What do you think?
It's hard to bet against Carl Edwards when he gets in this spot.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, if we had a few more laps and they could run, I think the 2 car might get back there, but it's going to be tough for him to pass Carl Edwards, I would say.
15 to go. Green flag for Edwards, and Wimmer and Boyer are in the hunt. Boyer looks to the inside of his teammate Wimmer in turn 1.
Yeah, the thing is, Wimmer's been awful good off of this corner up in that upper groove, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to clear him.
Carl Edwards doesn't mind a bit seeing these guys run door to door behind him, but they're still hanging on. And here comes Wimmer getting the run you were talking about, DJ.
Yeah, he's really been good on these restarts and being able to get back to the throttle and carry some speed off of there.
Childress is saying, sort it out here, guys. One of you. Try to go up here and see what we can do with Carl Edwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to get to the back bump road. We'll see what happens here, but Carl's car just seems to be, they made the right adjustments, not putting that Sunoco fuel in there. It seems to really have made the car exactly what Carl needs for this short run.
Denny Hamlin, now he's working on the back of Clint Boyer.
This is for position for 3rd spot. We are being told they are going to black flag the 66 car.
Yellow. Debris on the back. Slow it down here.
They didn't get the 66 car in the pits quick enough. That bumper bar fell off, and now the caution's out.
There it is. It was sticking out of the back of the car after the contact that Stephen Wallace had with the 21 car of Austin Dillon. hooked it on the side of the 61 car, Brandon Witt.
That's one way to get rid of it without coming into pits.
Kenny Wallace on board.
Well, Kenny Wallace looks like he got a piece of that bar, too.
Kenny Wallace, by the way, having a good run in the 28 car, the Border Patrol car. A lot of representatives here from that group tonight. Kenny, a 3-time winner here at Richmond in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Still staying on the lead lap, showing in 19th position.
Yeah, just got 10 laps to go there, so this will be a single file restart. And these guys won't have to, front guys won't have to deal with any lap traffic.
Check in Clint Boyer's pits. Jamie.
Well, Doc, up until 15 laps ago, the only words Clint Boyer said was good and maybe a little tight. Well, now he says the car is loose, and that explains why he's falling back, guys, and just can't catch his teammate and Carl Edwards ahead of him.
The car's been perfect all night, and here right at the end of the race, it's just not right for him. But this is where it counts.
Let's listen in to Carl Edwards' radio.
Yeah, I hate to choke up the start a little bit, but the 29 can't hang back there.
Yeah, Richard just yelled at him to get on your bumper to start worrying you.
Well, what they're talking about is Carl slowed the start down a little bit there, but the 29 was hanging back, and he didn't want him getting a run to where he might possibly could to get up beside him down into turn 1. So Carl was trying to stop that from happening, and they said Richard Childress is trying to get Scott Wimmer up on the bumper. I don't know that he's really going to worry Carl too much.
I don't think it's going to worry him. It might get him up on that wheel a little bit more.
By the way, while we're getting ready to go back to green, Kevin Harvick, who had that penalty for the commitment cone violation, had to go to the back of the tail end of the lead lap. He is now all the way up into 11th position. There's a 33 car, so he didn't waste much time getting back from 20th to 11th in spite of the caution flags that have come out twice here in the last 10 laps.
Yeah, and David Stremmy's hanging around there in 6th on those old tires, doing a great job.
9 to go. Carl Edwards trying to hold on. Scott Wimmer awfully hungry, and Clint Boyer is there as well. Here comes Denny Hamlin.
See if Wimmer tries to go to the outside here. He'd be getting a good run.
He got a better start that time with Carl. But he uses the low line this time because there's no lap cars on the inside.
Drives it off hard into the corner, but Carl's really beating him up out of the corner right now. Clint Boyer trying to get back. He'd like to do nothing better than to get by Wimmer and be able to put a little bit of pressure on Carl Edwards himself.
Side by side back there, you see the 16 of Biffle inside of Strimmy, who has the older tires. Logano behind these two. That is for position. Strimmy in 6th spot, Biffle 7th, Logano 8th.
Logano's made a nice little comeback after he slipped back outside of the top 10 there at one point in time.
Well, I'm impressed with Strimmy hanging on with those tires that are so much older than anybody else has. There's the 1 car of Bliss and the 5 of Castle. Marcus Ambrose in the fray. You see the 33 car of Harvick has gone by. There's Marcus Ambrose having a good run, trying to get in the top 10. He's 11th.
Oh, a little contact. Mike Bliss got the side of Ambrose. 5 to go. These guys are trying to get everything they can get here.
Harvick looking inside the 32 car, is taking the spot away.
Carl Edwards has a comfortable lead right now. That's why we're watching this battle.
20 and 64, Logano and Strimmy. That's for 7th position.
And here comes Kevin Harvick now. It's been a nice run back to the front. It's a shame that he got that penalty. Looked like he had a really good car here towards the end of the race, but he's made his way back. Mike Bliss and Landon Castle, I think they've been battling all night.
All night long, and this 5 car has been committed to that outside groove all day.
A battle for second here.
Little teammate action. Wimmer and Boyer. 3 to go. Make it 2 to go that time by.
Doesn't look like it's going to be enough time for Boyer. He had a great run tonight, but it looks like Carl's going to have him here. Boyer might get second from his teammate, though. He's inside Wimmer.
White flag this time by for Carl Edwards.
White flag, baby. One more time.
Wimmer holds off Boyer for second spot.
I think Wimmer was willing to give him that inside. I believe he thinks that he can hold him off from the outside lane. Boyer keeps fighting back. Carl Edwards is going to win this race.
Carl Edwards comes out of turn 4 and wins at Richmond. Wimmer takes second. Boyer third. Hamlin fourth.
Awesome job.
You guys down there, way to not give up. We had 2 bad ones and we came in. Got a good one when we needed it. Thanks, Carl, man. We got it close for you. You took it the rest of the way. You're awesome, dude.
Second win in 8 starts here at Richmond for Carl Edwards. 17th career victory and his 134th start.
Okay, he's run 600 laps here today. Has he got enough to do enough gas in the tank to do a backflip for us?
Let's go down to Mike.
And catching up with the winning crew chief, Drew Blickensterfer, you told me earlier this weekend you were thinking this was going to be a day race. How were you able to adjust for the nighttime?
You know, we just left spring rubber or 2 out, a little air pressure here and there, track bars, stuff like that, so we could go either way with it. We weren't as good as we wanted to be at the beginning of the race, you know, and Clint kind of lulled into that. He was the best car here, so he didn't want to change it. We kept working hard, had a good pit stop at the end, and Scott's car ended up in victory lane. It's pretty cool.
Well, Doc, this team has a ways to go to catch Clint Boyer in the point standings, but a win certainly doesn't hurt.
And here it is.
Yep, he had enough. That's pretty good. 650 laps of racing.
They'll tell me that winning doesn't get the adrenaline flowing, and Carl Edwards, we'll talk to him. He got a big smile on his face. He'll head to victory lane, and we will as well in just a moment. Carl Edwards still making his way to victory lane here at Richmond, so let's check in with the guy who led the most laps tonight. Clint Boyer standing by with Dave.
Yep, standing by with Clint right now, and that was the upside, Doc. The downside was where you finished, Clint. What happened to the car late in the race?
I just got too loose, but I ain't gonna let that ruin my day. Had a good day, and that's a bummer, but what do you do? You know, that's just how close it is. One little slip up, and that's all it is.
Why wouldn't you let it ruin your day? What else happened today?
We made the chase. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's hard to put in perspective, guys, but there is an upside to his day. It was not the nationwide race, though. Jerry?
He finished 12th in the Cup race and made the chase, so he will be in the hunt for the NASCAR Sprint Cup title. Did not get the win here, but he is still the points leader as Carl Edwards is in victory lane as the winner for the 4th time this year.
That's right, Doc. For the 4th time this season, Carl Edwards drives and backflips his way to victory lane in the Nationwide Series. Celebrations for all. Carl, definitely the turning point of this race for you guys was that last pit stop. I know you told your crew chief that the car was decent. Any idea it was going to be that strong at the end of the race?
I didn't know it was going to be that good. Man, I just can't thank my guys enough, though. They struggled a little bit, and then they came back, and they were awesome at the end. Drew made all the right calls. Scott's, you know, there's a wild bird in your life. We've got the food for you right here, the wild bird food from Scott's, and so happy to have them on board, Ford Motor Company, and the fans for coming out here, you know, on Sunday, staying Sunday night. That's cool, and just save a lot, everybody. Vitamin water. That's a good win, man. Clint was doing such a good job, and he was just a little free, and he was hanging on for all he was worth, and he just wiggled that one time, and that's what I needed.
All right, great win for Carl Edwards.
Seven races remaining here, and the point standings show that Clint Boyer has a 207-point lead over Carl Edwards, who now has moved up a spot. Brad Keselowski moving back a position, 279 points back. He's with Jamie.
Well, he held on and salvaged 21st. We documented the issues, the chattering issues early on. Brad, you guys are taking a look. Any idea what the problem was?
I don't know, something with the geometry. We're not exactly sure, but they're looking at it now, but it's unfortunate. I'm proud of them. You know, they're working hard to make it go fast, and we didn't get it tonight, and I don't know why. We'll go to work on it and try to fix it, but, you know, we've been running 7th and 10th on the short tracks, and we made a big change trying to win, and it just didn't work. So, you know, we're doing the right things. We're trying to win, and we're trying to win races to go for the championship, and this one just didn't work for us. But I'm still proud of them either way, and we'll keep digging with this U.S. Navy Chevrolet.
Brad Keselowski never gave up tonight. They're going to take a weekend off, much deserved, Mike.
And Scott Wimmer brings it home second. Few car lengths short of picking up the victory. What did you need to catch Carl tonight?
Oh, quite a bit. We way over adjusted at the first stop and just had to keep coming back on it. But the guys gave great pit stops all night. Just real tight at the end. I think cooling tires down didn't help us at all. But proud of my Holiday Inn guys. They had great stops all night. And we'll take that. We were trying for 6 wins. My last 6 races, 6 wins, but we'll have to go for 5. We got to stay out of my son. He probably should be in bed by now, but he didn't get to stay up here for after the rain.
Well, it was certainly worth staying up for, Alan. A pretty good run for his dad, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, nice finish for Scott, who came home second tonight. Well, I said it a couple times tonight. I'll say it again. You never know what's going to happen in these races, and you got to love it. Clint Boyer led 195 laps tonight. Carl Edwards led 34. Carl's got the trophy.
Oh, it makes you sick, doesn't it? I mean, Clint Boyer said, hey, you're not going to ruin my day, because I did get locked in the chase. But Boyer did a great job, and Carl was the smartest of the very, him and his team. They made the right calls, Brad. Yep. Won the race.
He did a great job, too, as he ran down Clint in that one segment. He really took care of his tires, gave himself a lot of room, just slowly worked on him, got by him, took off, had the fastest car won.
Good fun race, too. I mean, the race was good in the Cup. The race was great. The Nationwide, a lot of fun tonight.
Good day.
Good day today here at Richmond. A little rare NASCAR doubleheader, and we move on from here. Right up next, NASCAR Now, ESPN2, complete wrap-up of the chase and the Cup scene and the whole thing for the daily doubleheader here. Then it's on to New Hampshire. Qualifying Friday, the race on Sunday, plus the NHRA action from the new track in Charlotte. Don't forget our Sprint Cup Series Chase Race #1 presented by GoDaddy.com. ABC next Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. And a big salute. You heard Carl Edwards salute the fans who came out and hung in there for 650 laps today. We want to pay tribute to our great technical crew here who was out here at the crack of dawn rebuilding all kinds of stuff that had to be taken apart because of the oncoming storm, and hung on for 650 laps of racing too. Tip of the cap to all you men and women. Thank you for bringing us these great races at Richmond.
Tech guys, camera guys, producers, everybody did a great job. We just get to sit here and watch and talk about the race. We got
pretty easy to get electrocuted out there, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they did a good job. Those guys are great.
So Jimmy Johnson won the Cup race earlier today. Carl Edwards in victory lane for the Nationwide Series race. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Chase race #1 next week in New Hampshire.